Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday night entertainment brought to you by Live for Speed, brought to you by New Dimension Racing, and of course here on SimBroadcast.tv. This is the GT2 Challenge, and this is round 5 at Fern Bay Classic. I am Chris Ford, and today I have another roaming reporter joining me today. It's not Owen, he's qualified. It's not Travis, he's doing a Le Mans race. We have a very special guest. Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. Jonathan Palmer?
People will recognize my voice from these streams anyway as the guy that tells you green flag, we have a race, safety car boards and flags, safety car in this lap, green flag, we have a restart. I am Jonathan Palmer. I'm usually the race director, but because of everyone else in SimBroadcast.tv being better at racing than I am, and Provost had a desire to race direct this round, I'm joining Chris in the box today. And you know, a lot of you remember Chris and I doing Elf's Cart and everything else before. I think we're going to have fun today. So hi, Chris, and hi, everyone watching.
Yes, it's probably been about 9 years since we've actually done a broadcast just with the two of us. We will probably have Pete Butcher at some point making an appearance into the stream as well to give us some information and just to have a general chat. You can see that qualifying is underway here at Fern Bay. Jonathan, I think there's going to be the classic Fern Bay will happen here today. You expect a safety car? I know I expect a safety car.
Yeah, I was asking some of the drivers what their over/under was. It really varies here at Fern Bay depending on how the racers are and everything. We've had a GTL race here, a 3-hour race here that we had about a dozen or just over a dozen safety cars in. We've had races here that haven't had any. We've been shocked by it before. But this is, this track does not forgive mistakes. You've got turn 1, 2, that chicane. You can clip the curbs and roll, especially in the XRR and the FXR that have the center of gravity somewhere between here and the geostationary orbit around the Earth. The FZR doesn't necessarily flip there unless it grabs a tire and physics happens. But everyone has a chance of flipping at the fast right-hander towards the end of Sector 2. And then almost anyone has a chance at flipping at the left-right-left at the start of Sector 3. So, this qualifying is going to be get a banker lap in just to get a time on the board. And hope that you can get clear track. This track's going to be busy all qualifying and all race. It's slightly longer than Blackwood, but still there's about 100 meters available to every single car on the track today.
Indeed, one of the things that actually makes this track so tricky for the drivers is it's narrow. Yes, it's quick. It is quite a quick track still, but it's very, very narrow. And one of the things that you mentioned there, Jonathan, is that the curbs just are absolutely unforgiving. Even in sections where you wouldn't expect to be able to flip and get enough speed to be able to flip, you will still have that challenge. And also, one thing you should be aware of if you've been around Live for Speed for long enough is that we have a slightly different layout here for the first and final turns, Jonathan. And maybe you can give us a little bit more information. I am watching Dennis Lind and Joe Holmes crashing into each other on the route lap. Well, that's an interesting thing to be doing. Okay, right, never mind. We will just ignore, pretend that did not happen, and we will discuss the changes to turns 1 and the final corner, Jonathan, because you were involved in that with several of the drivers to try and make it a bit more safe. Because anybody who doesn't know Live for Speed will not know that chicanes aren't really designed with say realism in mind. They're a bit dangerous and a bit strange, so we have taken, or New Dimension Racing has put together a slightly different final and start to the lap. If you'd like to just talk us through that.
Yeah, and this is yes, it looks like Fern Bay green, it smells like Fern Bay green, it is generally Fern Bay green, except this is called Fern Bay Classic. It is F25. This was something that Phil Diaz and Ben Keogh and Michael Booth and I and a few others worked on. This layout in another version was used for IGTC 2011, with IGTC using the bigger brothers of the GT2, the GT1 class. So what we do is we've kind of constricted the first chicane. In this version, the original version had tires up to the apex. And you know, Chris, from all the times you've driven Fern Bay, the biggest problem at the first chicane is somebody clips the tires and they're suddenly in the middle of the track, and the next 3 cars behind are luck of the draw whether or not they hit them and get skied. So
Yes.
what we've done is we've added some concrete curb at the first apex, the left-hand apex, and backed the tires up, so it still deters straight lining it somewhat. The brave of the brave will gain an advantage because they will try and straight line as much as they can. We can't do anything with the second apex because those are part of the layout as they are. But it kind of squares it off just a little bit. We didn't have enough room to really do what we can't do what we did with the Boothie chicane at Kyoto Grand Prix. Then the last corner, it just squares off essentially the natural last corner. The last corner, has that little Mickey Mouse chicane thing that really kind of constricts. There's Armco either side, and it's quite a tight little thing. But what we've done is we go slightly beyond it. We still have a bit of it, but the original layout was basically just a 90-degree, very little room to the inside, and a bollard right at the apex. But what we've done is we've shifted the track to the right just a little bit, so you're going as if you're going back onto the gold and black section of the course. Then you come back to the green pit straight.
Yes, I was going to say that you talked about the tyres there, and given some of the things that have been happening in the world recently, I mean, it makes me think of the GameStop "We're Going to the Moon" reference when somebody comes along and hits a dislodged tyre, they often just take off. So, I mean, Anyway, so after we're nearly halfway through this session at the moment, Dennis Lynn's on pole position with a 1 minute 19.93 ahead of Joe Holmes, 1 minute 20.15. The FZR should be quite quick around here, I'd imagine. It's an FZR style track. The FXR, I'd imagine, will be quite quick as well. As we look here, Adam Brown going through this oval section is what we used to call it before it was actually playable within Live for Speed. That has created a very, very tricky right-handed hairpin that it always seems to just suck you wider on the entry. So here's Yannick Tia now as well, just going into that section again. The XR are not very happy through this section. It's going to be one to watch during this qualifying session. A lap can be won and lost there in these 2 sort of hairpinny corners. I think
Something
sorry.
Something I found out. Some drivers have been calling that the Omega section because it does kind of form an Omega. Yeah.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah.
The last left-hander, when you come back onto the normal course, some drivers have found out that the very inside lane, right up against the curb, is banked slightly, and then the further out you are, it's flat and kind of walking away from you. So I think you're gonna find a lot of drivers trying to hug that curb to try and take advantage of the slight angling.
Yes, it almost feels like it should be off camber, but it really isn't. It's a very strange corner, and that's a danger for everybody. Up now on the championship, now on screen on the championship order, Joe Holmes leads after the Blackwood round, which he eventually did win after penalties for Isaac Price, who is in second position. All the cars you can see that are numbered in red have a chance to win the championship still, right down to 6th position. Isaac is unfortunately not here today, so that does give Joe Holmes a very good advantage heading into this last couple of rounds of the season. I think it does look likely that Joe Holmes will win this championship, given the way that everything is just now. So, but we shall see today. Dennis Lynn looks fast in the FZR. I think he should be the main competition out there for Joe today.
As long as Joe doesn't have a catastrophic failure, Joe will pretty much so clinch the championship here today.
Indeed, and on screen just now is the team championship. Chad Esports still well in front of World Class Lines and CSF Esports, who only have 2 races to go before they no longer exist, and I no longer get to be annoyed by their very existence, with Team Sidus in 4th position. Those 4 teams can still win the championship, but you've got to think even without Isaac Price being here, it's looking good for Chad Esports. So, with just under 8 minutes to go in this session, Dennis Lind remains on pole position with a 1 minute 19.93, ahead of Joe Holmes and Pedro Picanco in third position. The top FXR, I'm slightly surprised, is only in 7th position at the moment, but there's still time to go for those drivers. Nico Patola, I think, will be looking to improve in his FZR from 10th position at the moment as well.
Joe Holmes coming onto the pit straight to start another flying lap. He's currently P2 with a 1:20.15, about a quarter of a second off. And he's on board, and you see, ooh, he's gone wide. He got a little too high on that first curb. It tipped him over. In the race, you're just going to obviously keep going from that, but that's going to be something that's costing a lot of drivers today, Chris.
That is the most annoying exit to a corner, I think, in Live for Speed, because you dip your wheel. You feel as though normally there would be a curb there, and there's not. It's just sand, and it just drags you in, and you're into that tyre wall on the outside. It'll be certainly very interesting to see when the Fern Bay update comes what they make of that corner, Jonathan. I think that they should make it into proper chicane and probably have a curb on the outside. It'll be very interesting to see what they actually do with that. So, yep, here is our pole position man at the moment, Dennis Lind, with 6.5 minutes to go. Very, very, as you can see, as you were discussing earlier, Jonathan, traffic is certainly an issue out there today. It's a very short track, 1 minute 19 seconds pole position at the moment. I thought they might get into the 18s in qualifying, but I'm guessing that there's wind factor again out there today, and also traffic factor.
Yeah, wind is 10 clicks this session. That's about 6 miles an hour, and it's slightly crossing, slightly tailwind on the pit straight, going drivers left to drivers right. So it's giving them a slight speed boost going into turn 1. It's a very short lap, 3.487 kilometers this circuit. So just like Blackwood, Blackwood's only about 250 meters shorter than this. So traffic's going to be a big issue, and overtaking is going to be quite hard here today too. So I think anybody who can get a good clean lap in qualifying and have a good grid starting position to have a great advantage for this race.
Yeah, I must admit, I'd be quite nervous heading into turn 1 on the opening lap if I were a driver out there today. I have a horrible feeling that there's going to be some kind of incident out there today in turn 1. It's very, very narrow, and it's very, very difficult to get through. There's really only one line, so we shall see what happens in turn 1 today.
Yeah, and it's really only one line, and the track doesn't really narrow physically. The concrete available is the same, but it's a true bottleneck, and if you get bounced, you have really no control, and you don't have time to react because you're going so flat out through that turn, and you don't have any time to react, and it's blind, and you just have to trust that the road's clear in front of you coming out of the first chicane.
Yeah, and I've just been watching Joe Holmes go through that first sector, and there was tyres all over the place and cars up on 2 wheels. He's coming toward the end of the lap. He hasn't abandoned yet. He's got Jared Mead in front of him, and he's out of the final corner. His current best time is 1 minute 20.15. Holmes toward the line as I continue to watch it. Can he get Dennis Lind's pole position? Not quite. 1 minute 20.09. So improvement for Joe Holmes, but still second on the grid as you watch Pedro Picanco come round. Oh, hang on, we've changed just as I say that. To Marquine going through this final sector. You can see there, Jonathan, the twistiness of that final sector really does pale into comparison to the rest of the track. It's a very interesting sector. It's difficult to get the balance right and cross this track. It's certainly a compromised setup track rather than one that flows throughout for everybody.
Yeah, and Zdravko Topolniak, one of our stewards for the first 4 rounds of the season, has traded in the steward's pen and paper for a helmet and a fire suit. He's in the race today. He loves Fern Bay Green. And this, as we said, this is essentially Fern Bay Green with a few added bells and whistles. He currently is P10 on a 1:21.05. Dennis Lind's still provisional pole with a 1993, but so Topolniak goes by number from Fragmaster. He definitely wanted to join this round. He has a huge love of Fern Bay Green.
Yeah, I've been watching him practice. He sent me his race setup because I was hoping to do some laps for this week because I was off work and wanted to have some fun, but unfortunately my laptop will not let me do that. But he's been pounding around this track, as you say, Jonathan. He's really looking forward to this one. Another one who I think is looking forward to is Steve Martin, safety car Steve, who's been very competitive in pre-qualifying, actually. If he could have nailed a lap, he could really have been right at the front of pre-qualifying. He's currently in 20th position at the moment. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but if he can only just find the smoothness he had in the first part of the pre-qualifying, then I think he could really improve in this final few minutes. But let's wait and see. Powell comes across the line now, and he remains in 17th position into that first chicane. In fact, he's starting a lap. Flies that first chicane. A good example there of well, up on two wheels. It does compromise your exit, though. If you get too much of the curb, he was too much in the middle of the track there. I don't think he'll be very happy with that first sector as he comes into Omega section, as the drivers have decided to call it, and Deco has christened it as well. So, Powell into this downhill left-hander that then sweeps right back up the hill before this funny little piff path. I think Owen Harmon, who you could just see in front of him, would call it the piff path chicane. There he goes. Don't want to clip the curbs, it slows you down, and he's done a good job there, Capel. This seems like a smooth run so far. Through the virtually flat right-hander, he is closing in on Owen Harmon, who I think will let him through into this technical and twisty section with the mountain right alongside of it. Capel through that section now. It's going to be interesting to see if he can improve. He hasn't abandoned this lap, so I think he must be up on his previous time, which is 1:21.37. Into the final sector comes Martin Capel now for Savage Sim Sports. And Yoni Katia, our defending champion, has moved up from 7th to 3rd as we go across the line with Capel. Capel goes 10th. Good lap there for Martin Capel. Dennis Lind is not on a lap, but Joe Holmes is.
Yep, Joe Holmes is just started lap. He's in the Omega section now and comes through that. It's an uphill and off-camber right-hander, and then you crash back downhill to the left-hander. Now through turn 6 here, stay away from the curbs there. The curbs can really upset the car in this section. He's got one car up ahead, but as long as they don't have a mistake, I think he'll be good. Joe clips the curb on the right-hand side at turn 7 and keeps it flat to the floor. He's at a 51.94 second split. Dennis Lind is on a 1:19.93. That's the time to beat. Joe's 0.16 off of it as he comes out of the cut in the hill section and heading towards turn 12, our last corner. He'll come to the right and just miss the Armco. Sean Lee up ahead just clouts the wall. That'll slow him down. Joe trying to get a draft off of Sean as he comes across the line, and Joe will set a 1:20.02. Not enough. Dennis Lind pole for round 5 of the GT2 Challenge. We have a few more cars completing. I believe Verzinakis is our last car on a timed lap at the moment. Actually, no, we've got a few more cars further behind. Jared Mead still on a flying lap coming into the mountain section. So Jared Mead will be the last car. Jared trying to improve from a 21.31. Verzinakis, top FXR, coming across line 9th. Brzezinskis with a 1:20.73. And Jared, our last car, coming out of the final corner now. And he'll be into the pit lane this time.
Well, that was an anticlimax, wasn't it? But that is the qualifying session, and that's a very interesting grid to my mind. Lind and Holmes on the front row with Katia and Lakainen in 4th position. There are the qualifying results, Jonathan, and a very interesting grid, as I said. FZR in pole position, as I kind of expected with Dennis Lind, ahead of Joe Holmes. 19.93. I think that's a little bit slower than pre-qualifying was. I thought they might get into the 18s there, but I think the wind factor, as you described earlier, must be making a bit of a factor in the play as it did at Blackwood.
Yeah, and pre-qualifying does not have wind, and also you have 48 hours to get a lap, so you have plenty of clear track there too. So if you want, I'll go through the results here. Dennis Lind on pole for this round. Joe Holmes to his outside. Yanni Katila and Jarno Lahaikinen will be in the second row. Pedro Pacanco rounding out the top 5 in qualifying. Top 5 separated by 0.4 of a second. David Godge in 6th position. Zdravko Topolniak from Fragmaster in 7th. Sean Lee for AirTech Newsroom in 8th. Darius Verzinskas for Yes Motorsport in P number 9. Martin Kapal for Savage Sim Sports 10th position with a 120.84. Andres Lapnex in 11th. Nico Patola 12th. Adam Brown in 13th. So CSF Esports cars, side by side for the race start. Daniel Bala and Daniel Lukashtik in 14th and 15th. Prismac Vidaviars in 16th. Benoit Lemarie in 17th. 18th is Karolis Multigitis. Jared Mead, 19th. Steve Martin, 20th. Jeff and Jacob, 21st. Radek Lauschke for Viaduct Czech Racing Team with a 121.99, 2 seconds back in 22nd. Yari Katia in 23rd. Ayub Al-Hanouni in 24th. Michael Malek in 25th. 26th is Samus Tautkavicius is 122.37. Jurgen Weber, Reg LeBlanc, Pavel Loschke, Timo Sweeney, Owen Harmon, 31st. Magic Klimchik in 32nd. And then Sergei Markin, 33rd. 34th is Ken Johansson. Lucas Wilson, 35th. Thomas Janusitets in 36th. He's a new driver to the series. Joao Paulo finally getting his showing in Grid 1 today in 37th, and Pierre Feni for Gum Garage in 38th. So a full 38 cars to turn into turn 1, Chris.
Yeah, I think there'll be carnage. Trying to get 38 cars, 38 GTR cars through that first corner is going to be, well, that'll be quite tight, I'd imagine, for everybody out there. And to be honest, I expect lots of action throughout this race. It's going to be tight, it's going to be tense, and well, I can't wait to see it. So I think we will just take a short break as they line up the grid, and we will be back in roughly 5 minutes, myself and Jonathan, with Pete joining in as well. So we hope you will join us then. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to simbroadcast.tv here on Twitch, and it's on a Sunday evening. That must mean it's GT2 Challenge race time here today from Fern Bay Classic, round 5 of 6 of this championship season. Here tonight, I am joined by the one, the only, Jonathan Palmer. Jonathan, hello, you're back with us again after that interesting qualifying session. Right now on screen, you can see that the next round and the final round is in 2 weeks' time again, Sunday, 21st of March, from Aston Grand Touring. So join us there for the Championship Decider. Aston's always a classic in GT2 cars. Before we have a non-championship race, the 6 hours of West Hill International on the 4th of April. That will be teams, and that will be a cracker as well. Jonathan, I think that the sign-ups for that will be coming very, very soon for that final race of the season, won't they?
Yeah, we'll be getting those out if I get a chance while the race is going on. They'll go out then, and if not, sometime shortly after the race ends. Sign-ups will be open for the 6 hours.
Yep, and there's our configuration today. It's effectively, as Jonathan's been saying, Fern Bay Green. So some drivers love it and some drivers don't. I don't particularly like it, but we'll keep that whispered. And there's the track today. So today it's myself. Pete Butcher will be joining us at some various points during this race, and Jonathan Palmer in the broadcast booth today. And Chris McElroy will be giving us the information as per usual. Some interesting fantastic figures during the course of this race. Jonathan Prevost is our race control man today. JP2 Deco. The second iteration, we call him Jesus Christ, your God, so that's always an entertaining one. He'll be very embarrassed now. He gets embarrassed when I say that on server.
Sorry, I was too busy laughing to keep the mic.
Anyway, so now we see the classes of the cars for today's. We've got the XRR, which is the most favoured one, which is 2-litre turbocharged. I've been through this so many times. What makes these cars GT2 specifications is the key point, though. That's the intake restrictors. It's designed to keep the cars balanced. FCR, I've heard enough of the FCR complaining about the balancing restrictions this year, but maybe that's slightly borne true given the amount of years we've had these restrictions now. There has been a new patch released within Live for Speed recently, which is potentially helping to balance out these cars, Jonathan, and maybe that'll be something that'll be looked at in the future.
Yeah, we've been watching the patch test time recently with some interest, and we'll be looking at what we can do with some balancing with that. One of the biggest features that we started using when test patch U13 was out, we now do 12 packets per second, and so that doing that and some other improvements in the position packets has actually smoothened out some of the racing. So we are now on the grid to start our formation lap today, Chris.
Yeah, that was very, very quick. We were going to say, John, that just a quick iteration on the grid on the screen just now. You could see the qualifying order. There was a slight issue with the qualifying order that we read out earlier. Do you want to have a quick explanation of that as well? It's just one position and it's nothing really that's worthwhile scaring about. But yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah. Car 46 was replaced at the start of qualifying for being absent during all the attendance checks, and he was replaced, but he came in the server and managed to set a time, so he's been removed from the list. So he was on the broadcast timing, but he was not on official timing. Yeah, Dennis Lind has not pulled away for some reason.
He's got wheel issues, I think, Jonathan. He's he's going from side to side, but something is going wrong with his wheel there, the pole position man. That's a disaster for him and for this race, I think. It's not been the most kind of seasons to poor old Dennis Lind, as he tries to fix whatever the issue is. What is the issue, I wonder? Oh, he's gone. Okay, so something disastrous has happened to Dennis Lind, so I think it is a wheel issue. Will he be allowed to restart if it is a wheel issue?
Yes, he would be allowed to rejoin, but he may have to take a pit lane start for that if he doesn't get out in time. It's race director discretion when the field's still in the first half of the lap. But if the race director doesn't feel he can catch up sufficiently, he'll be held to start from the pit exit.
I think he should be okay here. I would probably let him go if I were in that position, because it's so slow in this section of the track that he will be able to catch up. As long as his wheel issue is actually fixed. Is he going anywhere in the pit lane?
No, he's got a red light at pit exit, so...
Yeah, he's got a red light, so that's unfortunate for this race, Jonathan. We'll have to take a back of the grid penalty, and that means that Joe Holmes takes over pole position, the championship leader, with Yoni Katia in second position. He's just trying to clarify whether that means he has to change his side of the grid, because Dennis had chosen the left side in the driver briefing for the start of this race, but now it is Joe Holmes' prerogative, and he should be on the right-hand side as per that. So let's just see what happens. He's going to
No,
the left side.
he would assume the pole position, and so he would now. Everyone is trained that if their position shows a certain number, they need to go to that side. Jonathan Provost, race director today, has the right whether or not to abort the start or not and try again.
Well, we come up to the start of this race. Joe Holmes leads them round. The safety car will peel off, and then Holmes now, from his new net pole position, will take them to the green flag. When is the field is nicely lined up today, it must be said. Holmes holds them back. No, seems as though I'm hearing that we will actually be given a yellow light, so it will not go green this time around. The start has been aborted. There was bad formation at the back of the grid. Was there contact? In fact, I can see in my track map that something has happened at the back there. Yes, indeed. There's been collision at the back. Yeah, so that's why this start has been delayed. There was a crash at the back. Markin is going backwards. A red flag has actually gone out.
We've stopped it. Oh, we have a car. I think we have a car upside down at the last corner. Oh, no, that was just the... Markin was sideways, so Provost, his race directions, decided to stop this run and give it a restart.
That's good news for Dennis Lind, isn't it?
Yep, so we're doing an immediate restart to reset the grid. Okay, so yeah, Dennis would have spectated, and since the game is using the grid from qualifying, it killed his ID from that session. So the grid will be fixed very quickly in the lobby screen. The driver's starting to ready up once more.
Yes, so Dennis Lind is now back on pole position. So that's worked very well for Dennis there. The kerfuffle at the back there with the back markers all deciding to pile into each other. The final corner, it's a very tight final corner, so the slightest of contact will create a bit of a traffic jam. So that was Markin, Johansson, Wilson that were involved in that at the back there. So let's see how this second running goes. I'm sure that'll be investigated by the race director team. So we have another safety car lap here, and here they are out onto this beautiful grid that we have for New Dimension GT races. It's like the Le Mans running start.
15 km/h, 9 per hour wind this time. It was 18 and 11 our last try.
That's disappointing. We want more wind.
It was 23 last round, and I got no end of complaints for about 3 days afterwards.
If it was down to me, as I've been saying since 2008, I would always have it on high wind.
And you're gonna love this, Chris. It's basically the same as it was in qualifying, and so it's still a slight tailwind into turn 1.
Oh, that's not fun. Well, okay, so we might still get another red flag here. The GT2 challenge by New Dimension Racing here on Twitch with simbroadcast.tv. We are now pulling away finally on the grid there. We're just waiting on Owen Harwood to move. What's happened to Owen? Oh, there we go. Owen makes it away now. Something happened there to him. And all the cars are now en route to the second half of the section. This beautiful high aerial shot that we have here that gives you a good description of where this track is supposed to be. It's supposed to be in Jamaica, as you can see from the lovely sea that you can see there behind the hills. And they come through that piff-paff section there. Dennis Lind back on pole position after, I assume it was a hardware issue that he had, but I'm sure we'll find out after the race. Warming his tyres up, we look back now from Joe Holmes on board here with Dennis Lind, giving maximum lock to try and increase the temperature in his tyres so the tyres are not too cold heading into that all-important first chicane. And Jonathan, it's going to be very interesting to see who gets to jump down into that first corner, because passing isn't going to be easy here. There's no real full overtaking zones. You're really looking for the car in front to make an error, and I expect there to be a lot of entertainment and a lot of issues into the first corner. Let's see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's not a very long run from the green light to turn 1, so there's not much room for drafting or anybody to get sorted out. So it's going to be questionable at best for how many survive of these 38 at turn 1.
Well, the worst crash I think we've ever had in the New Dimension Racing series was at Kyoto in GTAL, where Tommy Osgard became Santa Claus. It was a Christmas race, and he took off into the mountains thanks to the wind factor, and everybody got together. But here we are, down the straight they come. It's Lind on pole with Holmes to his right-hand side, waiting for the green flag. The alignment is much better this time. Nobody has made contact in the final corner. Looks as though everybody's good. We get the green flag. Well,
we did go green. We did go green. It was very late.
Holmes jumped the start, though, unfortunately for him. I think there's a bit of a kerfuffle at the back of the screen there, and cars going through the... Steve Martin has had an incident down into the first corner. He was very wary about that sort of thing happening. Unfortunately, it has happened to him. Dennis Lind has taken the lead back from Joe Holmes in the first few laps of this race, but I have a funny feeling he's going to be in a little bit of trouble for that start. He was ahead of Lind before the green flag was given, and after the last race at Blackwood, that's a very contentious issue, where, again, there was problems, again, like we saw at the start of the season in Rockingham, so the championship leader...
Oh, we have a problem at turn 5. We had Pawełowski and Magic having some problems there. They've both continued. I've had Reg LeBlanc off at the second left-hander in the Omega section.
Yeah, a lot of damage there for Reg. He's actually managed to get to the wall. I wonder if he was involved in the start issue as well, because I didn't think... see him hit the wall that hard, but so that's certainly an issue there for Reg LeBlanc. He drops to the back of the field immediately.
So far, everyone clean through the first half of the lap. Otherwise, everyone's still on all fours anyway.
So yes, so this first lap, it's Lind leading by quite a distance over Joe Holmes with Yoni Katia in third position. And into the wall goes Yoni Katia on that exit. Oh, somebody's rolled! Somebody rolled behind, surely.
Oh, yeah, that's Verzinskas. Verzinskas is out. He's upside down, and he's been clouded by Lukashtik. Still upside down, didn't flip him, but where is Lukashtik?
I think he's back going again. Oh, somebody else has hit him. An FXR not paying attention to the car. Oh, Lukashtik is upside down as well, so he's out as well. Safety car, you'd imagine...
Safety car has been scrambled. Safety car has been scrambled.
Safety car is out on the track there. That's a disaster. There was an FXR there long after the incident, which would have come into a yellow flag with a car halfway down the straight. It was car 73, who's that? Who came out of the first corner and somehow managed to slam straight into a car that had been sitting there for about 30 seconds. So, Janicitis is the person who was involved, the FXR, the number 73 from Gum Garage. He's got quite a lot of damage to his front of his car as well after that incident, so I think he'll be in the pits. So, well, we got the safety car, Jonathan, that we did kind of expect today. Didn't think it'd be that quick.
Yeah, so Verzinskas is upside down driver's left, just past the pedestrian bridge after turn 2, and Lukashtik is upside down driver's right, pretty much so directly across track from where he hit Verzinskas. Yes,
a very unfortunate incident there. He was involved in the pack and he couldn't see, and Verzinskas a fair way down the track there. It's a very unfortunate incident, but that's taken our lead FXR car out of this race, which is a bit of a disappointment for him. He normally goes very, very well in that FXR, and he's normally there right at the end of the race, challenging the faster cars of the FZR and the XR, but he is out of this one. We've quite a few cars coming into the pits, or we had a few cars coming in the pits at the end of that first lap. I would love to know what happened in that first corner, down at the back there, because the incident seemed to happen before turn 1, Jonathan, which is quite strange, given the fact that cars were parked on the right-hand side of the track before the turn had even come. So that was an interesting incident. I wish we could see that one.
I will go take a look at it.
So here we are, you can see them coming down the back straight toward the twisty section. Lind, Holmes and Lehainen is in third position ahead of Joni Katia, who just about got away with it in that chicane section. We saw him bouncing around and hitting the tyres just before. In the background we saw the FXR going over. I think we'll get one more lap of safety car before we go back to green flag running. Stu Baker there in the FZ5 safety car. Everybody back to weaving around, everybody back into line now. I think we will be going green at the end of the next lap. So this will be interesting. One thing we haven't discussed today so far is strategy. And it's very interesting to note that the leader, Dennis Lind, is on a soft compounded tyre. And I would have thought the FSR might struggle to make it the entirety of a distance without pitting. Joe Holmes is on an R2, R3 compound, so he's split his compounds. I think he'll be hoping to run the whole race, which might also explain why Dennis Lind got a massive jump there at the start, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think what you're going to find is people were assuming there were going to be multiple safety cars. So I would think they might have maybe short-filled fuel for lightness, knowing that they would gain some of that back. And I think the tire strategy was going to be convoluted by that anyway, because they're not going to have necessarily the traditional heat peak cycle. It's going to get interrupted anyway, so definitely a no stop is probably out of the question anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that the chances of everybody getting through this race without some kind of incident are quite slim as well. We've seen already so far in this race how easy it is at Fern Bay to have an incident and get some damage on your car. But we will be going green at the end of this lap of safety car. We will be heading on to lap number 5 of 66 today. 66 laps. We look at Adam Brown in my favourite car. There's a lovely pink skin and with my initials on it. Yes, lovely. Thank you, Adam. Surprised he managed to get out of bed for this one. He's notorious for not getting out of his bed. School's back soon, though, so he's going to have to get back a sleeping pattern. Anyway, Dennis Lind looks back from... we look back from Dennis Lind to Joe Holmes. There we go, outside the car again. Dennis Lind pulling down now into the final sector. Stu Baker is gone. It's now Dennis Lind's prerogative when he restarts this race. Holmes will be desperate to keep to closer than he did at the start of this race. On board now with Joe Holmes. When is that FZR in front of us? The purpley FZR. When is it going to go? Into the final corner we go. It's difficult to make a move into turn number 1, so you expect Dennis to hold them a little bit and hope to get the jump that way. He's holding them, certainly is holding them out that final corner. Every single file we await Dennis Lind deciding to give it the beans. Coming the run to the line, and there he goes, and oh, Katia very much caught out by that, and he has to swing to the left to avoid the back of the XR in front of him, and there's 3 or 4 wide down there with Adam Brown. It's Dennis Lind into the turn number 1, comfortably ahead of Joe Holmes, who drops back again a little bit. This time it seems a little bit cleaner through the chicane here, and everybody seems to have made it through the single file chicane this time around. So Lind leads Holmes, Lekainen in third position with Joni Katia, who's already been on the wall, our series champion, in 4th position, and I wonder if he's got a little bit of damage there on that XR car. We look back now, there's 3 wide coming into this Omega section here, and they go through it reasonably cleanly this time, and I'm quite surprised, but that's a lot better this time for the restart of this race. Lind from Holmes is still the order as it was in qualifying.
Oh, Adam Brown just nearly got 3 cars in one go, but then he got pitched onto one of those curbs, the Piff Paff section, and launched him up, and he is now way far back after that disturbance. He's back now with Soini, and just ahead. Doesn't seem to have much damage at all from that, mostly cosmetic, but he's dropped down to P25 after that.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there. That's what can happen with those high curbs. A good example there. Adam just getting pitched around and into the wall he went. So that's an unfortunate incident there for the CSF Esports driver. Lind is ahead. There's Katia now coming through. He's about a second behind, third position at the moment. Let's see if everybody managed to get through this corner well this time.
It's at speed this time, so it's a lot more wild things can happen at full speed. Oh, Ken Johansson has spun at the exit of the corner because he just got his left side tires on the grass. Saw a cloud of dust and it just spiked it over the right side. And also, Finney for Gum Garage has had a spin at the early part of the chicane.
Yeah, so 2 instances there, but both of them managed to get back going again. Yeah, Johansson I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, just clipped the sand, and around he went in that turn number 2. So that's unfortunate for him. He drops to the 35th position. Back at the front, Dennis Lynn leads by 1.63 seconds ahead of Joe Holmes. And if I were a betting man right now, I think Lynn's going to be pitting, Jonathan, on those compounded tyres. I'm not convinced Joe Holmes will be.
Yeah, I think we can go with that. I think Joe's strategy play is, though, he's going to be waiting on what the safety cars do. If we have a good long run, a longer run strategy might play out, but if we keep having safety car after safety car after the tires start getting
in the wall.
And we have car 19 Vdaviars has gotten a drive-through penalty for overtaking before the start-finish line on the restart.
Yes, and I think he also spun there. Oh no, it wasn't him who spun, there was somebody else who spun. I think Adam Brown just had another incident in the chicane as well. A lot of dust coming from his general direction. He seems to have a little bit more damage to his car. A difficult start to this race for him. Was that Sean Lee getting wide there out of the final part of Omega? I think it was. He was lucky to get away with that and get back on the track in the right way before the piff-paff section, which is really quite a difficult section when you've been forced wide and if you've got dirt on your tyres.
It's not a fun track to have dirt on your tires, surely.
No, but most of the lap you feel as though you do get dirt on your tyres just by putting a quarter of a tyre in the wrong place. It's one of these strange tracks, it's so narrow. But anyway, we come to the line again. We're watching Picanco in 5th position trying to catch up to Ione Katia. These two are already 5 seconds away from the race leader. Joe Holmes does the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 21.28. So Holmes finding a bit of speed now that Dennis Lind has gapped him slightly, but Holmes coming out a very slidey rear end there for Dennis Lind. That's not what he would like to be doing too often in that FCR with the soft compound rears.
Tolnick dropped down to 24th. Jared Mead working his way back up. Jared Mead behind Sweeney and going for an attack on him into turn number 3. And Gum Garage's Lucas Wilson, also his first Grid 1 appearance of the season.
Yes, indeed, in 23rd position just now in that distinctive FXR with the looks like swimming pool decals is how I'd probably describe that colour.
Yeah, I think that looks like that. Light next up ahead, up for P8 on Down Gauge, has taken that into the Cut in the Hill section.
Yeah, you can see he almost managed to get the cut back there, but not quite, and good move there.
And now we have Pedro Picanco on the back of Jarno Lahaikonen as they come across the line to complete the 8th tour of the circuit. Yeah, something's happened to Lahaikonen because he was ahead of Ione Katia on that lap, and he's dropped 4 seconds, and he gets very, very clippy of the second part of the curve because he was slightly off balance because Picanco was there. Now, he still has the inside line, but Picanco breaks later. Can he get the move done? Pedro Picanco just about make contact, but Picanco takes 4th position. Lovely move around the outside there into Omega Part 1, and they now plunge down the hill. So something happened there to like going in the final sector. Jeffin has come in the pits for our first pit stop under green. That's unfortunate for him. So clearly something we missed there. Dennis then continues to lead, though. Oh, he's on the grass! Dennis on the grass! And he manages to gather it all up and carry on, but that'll be terrible for this next section of corners. The section where we really need good traction.
Joe Holmes could smell his target, just making that little bit of a gap, a little bit of an error there, and we could see from the back of Dennis's car that that monster number plate is significantly closer. It was almost it was over a second, and now it's right there. Joe goes slightly wide, hits the car, hits the wall. Joe Holmes into the wall, getting up the back of Dennis Lynn, so he drops back again. So all the momentum he had gained has been lost now by our championship leader in second position as they continue to go, and it's basically back to where it was before Lynn made his error. But you can see that Dennis is really attacking this track.
And that clip of the wall gave Joe an ever so slight pixel width of toe damage on the rear right corner.
So that'll be interesting to see if that hurts his... The way... Oh, hello, we're going 3 wide into turn number 1, and we know Adam Brown decides to think better of it. There's a tyre in the way, though. Oh, and they all get away with that one. Brown, Elanuni, and who's that final car?
That's Vicious, yes.
Yes, they're battling over 14th position. Adam Brown trying to make a way back up the order after his error earlier in the race. Brown goes around the outside of Amiga uphill. And that should
Benoit is behind that. So Gumgarage's Benoit might have a shout at this battle if Brown and Elanuni have some excessive scrapping, and Brown clouts those curbs again. Adam Brown has now copped a drive-through penalty for overtaking before the line on the restart. Oh, we got a safety car now.
Safety car. Now, why is there a safety car? Is there... Oh, I think I can see a car in the final sector.
Janosiet is upside down,
yes,
coming onto the bridge section in the last sector.
That's not a place I would normally expect a car to roll over. So how has he done that one then? And to finish there, that's quite spectacular. Oh, that's spectacular advertising for NDR and GT2 Challenge, that camera angle as well. So we'll get something out of it other than the safety car. And sim broadcast, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if he got up on the curb and momentum took him over, or if he got pushed even further and might have even clipped one of the tires on the apex there at turn 11.
Yes, that's the most likely, isn't it? I forget that there's tires on the inside of that corner, and if you're in an FXR, you really can go over that curb. So yeah, I think you're right, Jonathan. I think he must have hit those tires that are pretty solid on the inside of that corner. So our second safety car after we're on lap 11 of this race. 2 safety cars already, so I wonder if this will start to make drivers think about pitting. Some are pitting for damage I think they've sustained. Nothing from our leaders though, but I think they were through, weren't they, Jonathan, before the safety car boards were scrambled?
I believe so, but important thing to consider too, for Adam Brown, he got the drive-through penalty about a dozen seconds before that incident happened, and so now he's going to have to wait till after the restart before he can serve his drive-through penalty.
Indeed, that's a double disappointment for Adam, but that means that he will, of course, have the opportunity to get a fresh car and remove that damage that he's got. It's not the longest of pit lanes here, JP, is it? So he won't lose that much time with a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and he'll have 3 laps from the restart, and it will, so he won't be able to serve it at the restart. He'll have to actually do the first lap on the track. But he's got 3 passes at the start line. Good. So he's got a couple laps that he can try and build some gap, so he may not lose his position. But if he tries to do it the first lap after the restart, he's going to absolutely be last. He already made a pit stop under the safety car. Him and Topolniak and Markin and Sean Lee also pitting, and Motigitis pitting under this. So a few drivers taking the chance to pit already during the safety car.
Indeed, I'm just taking a look through the grid now to press the button. I haven't pressed in many years and I've forgotten what it does, to see who's on what compound tyres. It does seem there's quite a few out there. I'm surprised on the R2 compound in the XR. So there's quite a few thinking of pitting. There's a couple on R3, which means I don't think they will be pitting, but their tyres look very, very cold at this point.
Trying to get the wave around done. We have one car that is in need of wave around and has not responded to that call yet.
Sorry, I was going to say somebody who must have pitted. Yes, Sean Lee pitted. Sean Lee was in 8th position and now he's back in 25th position just ahead of Owen Harmon. Seems still 53 doesn't want his lap back, JP.
No. So, and Provost, our race director, has chosen to recall the safety car at the end of this lap, so Stu Baker extinguishes his lights and starts pulling away from the field to give Dennis some room to work with.
Yep, so last time Dennis took them right to the line, effectively, and it worked out for him. I wonder what he'll do this time. He's been very aggressively warming his tyres, now he's letting them cool back down to racing temperatures. So that's an interesting ploy. I haven't seen that very often in the past, so I think the fact that Dennis isn't trying to nurse his tyres does certainly make me think he's going to be pitting today. There are those tyres we think that caused the FXR to roll, and Linda's gone already. And that certainly caught Joe Holmes out. That strategy worked out very nicely for Dennis then to cool his tyres down after heating them up quite significantly under the safety car. He's got a big gap over Holmes. Holmes under pressure from Gutierrez. They come to the line. Green flag is given. Lind, Holmes, Gutierrez, top 3 after 12 laps here at Fern Bay. Into the chicane again they go. And they bounce around. A few cars coming across the line side by side there at the back, but it seems to have breezed through the first chicane quite cleanly this time around. We look at Reg LeBlanc as he goes through the first chicane. He's been overtaken there by Sean Lee. Lee has got past, so Lee is already making his way forward again, having dropped back after making a pit stop. There's Luchki in the Aston Martin looking FZR. Vidoviarts goes round the outside now, trying to take 18th position. Sorry, the inside, sorry. He also has a drive-through penalty. I don't think he took it for the safety car. Lucas Wilson having a little loop there on the outside, almost causing Vidoviarts to have a little spin there. But every clean though so far, JP.
Yep, the Dennis pulling away as early as he did kind of strung everyone out. So a little less side by side at turn 1. And they're actually keeping it a little tidy on this restart. I think most drivers realizing that this is definitely a race of attrition and they have to be there at the end to have a shout.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we're only basically coming to the end of the 13th lap as Lind goes across the line. Now watching Pantola in 7th position in the CSF Esports car, trying to hold back the 2XRs behind him. He defends robustly down to the pit straight. They come in a little bit of a train there. In fact, I wouldn't like to go around the Lepinikas is trying to go around the outside. Pantola keeps the inside. They bounce around on the chicane. Pantola gets a drift on coming out, and they're still side by side out in that corner. And right behind them are 2 other cars waiting. Pantola's going to have to give up that position though. And who was that coming up there? It's Godge coming through, trying to make the pass on the outside as well.
And Daniel Bala up on the back of this, and Martin Capel. So we've got 5 cars all together, 3 of them trying to hound Nico Pantola.
Indeed. Oh, on board there with Capel. You don't want to be hit that curb like that. Good grief, up on 2 wheels in the flip-flap. For our 10th place runner, Martin Capel, he's chasing Daniel Bala, as you said a moment ago there. You can see Bala just getting out toward that sand trap and no more. That's probably as far as you want to go. There's a car off. We're hearing
Pedro
from
Pacanco is alerting the admin.
Lecky Goyden off. That's in the chicane, that's turn 1. Oh no, it's not. How on earth has he gone off there? What's happened? So he's gone off on the back straight and carried on a little bit. So Lecky Goyden, big damage there for the man who
Pedro
was
Pacanco has Pedro Pacanco left front and right rear dampers completely gone. He's rolled. I wonder if he rolled coming out of that fast right-hander.
Yes, he must have. You would think he's rolled into Lecky Goyden because they were 4th and 5th.
Oh, that might have been at either Piff Paff, or that might have been That might have been down turn 8, the left-hander, right before split 2.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate for those guys, though. And is that Joe Holmes in the pits? Joe Holmes has been in the pits. That's an early stop for Joe. So something's happened for all 3 of them. They were 2nd, 4th, and 5th in this race, were they not? So we've missed something. So. We have missed something with Joe as well then. Oh, and Joe almost gets swiped as he comes to the chicane there by the FXR in front of him. And is that damage to Steve Martin's car as well? Steve Martin's been in the wars as well. So something major has happened here that we've unfortunately missed in the broadcast booth. We're sending Chris McElroy to have a look through the replay and see if he can work out what's happened there. But Yannick Katia is the net advantage because he's suddenly in second position. He's already been in the wall once himself. Dennis Lynn now leads by over 2 seconds as we watch Owen Harmon taking a bite out of the curb and pit path. But this is, so something dramatic has clearly happened on that previous lap that we missed.
I just went for a look at the replay too. Joe got it wrong going into the Omega section, and that was Pacanko. Something happened to him at the fast left at the end of sector 2. He was trying to go to the inside of Joe there. Suddenly veered off to the left and over the tires that are in the weeds there, and he rolled over, and Lahaikinen had no time to react and got caught up in that.
That leaves Lepinikis and Patola, who we're just looking at, JP, battling for third position. So that battle that was for sixth is now for third.
Yes, promotion definitely for Leipniks and Patola at the moment. So, Chris McElroy, our man with the grand plan in the background, thinking Joe might have projected that there might have been a safety car coming and trying to get a pit stop in. Topolniak getting a drive-through penalty for crossing the pit entry blend line. Sergei Markin getting a stop-go penalty for crossing both pit blend lines.
Fastest lap of the race by our race leader Dennis Lynn, 1 minute 20.72. Up at the front, he's leading now over Yannick Katia's 3 seconds.
Pavlovsky having a spin here.
Yeah, we missed it. He's definitely clouted. He was on the back straight. He's definitely clouted something. You can see his beautiful skinned FZR there with a bit of front damage. As we now look at Yannick Katia, who is trying to hunt down Dennis Lind, but Lind is doing a stellar job at the moment, flying out in front. As we're on board here with Joe Holmesman into Omega 1. Marking in front of him, I think it is, and a contact there. He wasn't expecting to be so slow, but now Holmes goes to the outside. He's going to try and switch back. This is dangerous times for Joe Holmes because this is a difficult track to overtake on. Even if you are considerably quicker nominally than the cars you're battling, you can't make it round the outside there. As we look back at yes, you can. Markin makes it. Markin runs wide, and the next car coming through on Markin is Owen Harmon. As we look back at Lutsky again, and you can see there the damage on the front of his car, so he definitely did hit something. Oh no, we're looking at, there's two, forgot about that. So this car, this is what the car that we were looking at previously should look like before he got that front damage. Oh, the things you forget in 2 weeks. Anyway, back to the leader, Dennis Lind, and his car is definitely distinctive, purple and white, and with his red crash helmet as he comes out of Omega, hits that curb there, up the hill into the Piff Paff section, clips the first bar and the second, third actually, but doesn't take air. That's important. He is looking very comfortable at the moment, JP, 4-second lead. Stephen
Martin and Owen Harmon, teammates, side by side, going to turn 1. Stephen Martin taking position from Owen Harmon up to P27.
Behind the ball there was Adam Brown getting very, very heavy on the curbs again.
Jarno Lahaikinen has retired from the race. Adam Brown working on slicing his way back up through the field after his drive-through penalty. Yep,
Owen will have definitely enjoyed looking at Adam's skin there. as we come back to Dennis Lind with a 4.1 second lead now. He's really extending that lead. He is the fastest car on the track by an absolute mile at the moment. I certainly think he's going to be pitting today, and I don't think Ioni Katia, who actually had a far better qualifying than he normally has been having, today, I don't think he'll be pitting though, JP. I don't feel as though he will be. It doesn't feel as though his car has been quite driven with the same anger that Dennis Lind's is.
I think most of the people I said were, or I talked to, were trying that. Yannick Katia only got about 3 hours of practice before. Some schoolwork keeping him busy this week.
Sounds very Yannick Katia. Alan Nooney has got past Lemari for 10th position. And now Jared Mead goes round the outside into the fast right-hander. Beautiful move there. You know, if you're doing that, you have to have a car on the inside that's being very compliant. But Mead making the move stick, and he takes 11th position. He's having a nice little run today.
And Jared Mead got it wrong going into turn 1 on the first lap and tapped a car up ahead on braking and sent him spearing off to the left. So Jared Mead doing the burn from the stern today to try and improve. A couple of safety cars have helped him. We've had contact between Steve Martin and Adam Brown.
Yeah, Martin Brown and another car there side by side into the fast right-hander. Three-way. That doesn't normally work out, but they eventually did make it through there. So that's another heart-grubbing moment there for poor old Steve Martin, who's having a difficult afternoon.
Oh, Liponex has gone off. Liponex has gone off coming out of the Omega section. That has promoted Nico Pantola to P number 3. And David Godge might even have a run on Liponex into this fast right-hander. Liponex just running the exit curb out of turn 5 a little too much. Now he's picked back up.
On board with Joe Holmes as he continues to try and carve his way through the traffic. There's Sonny in front of him. He's just going to drive around the outside. Where's Sonny now in front of us? Ooh, just about left Holmes enough room there. Holmes up into 23rd position. That's where Sonny gone. Something happened to Sonny in that incident then. Because he's gone right down. Yes, another retirement. Pedro Picanco retired after that rolling incident as well. Earlier on.
Yeah, we've lost Picanco and Lahakinen. Definitely some lag involved in that, because Joe also had a moment of lag there at the King. We've lost Lahakinen, Picanco, Genocides, Brzezinskis, and Lukastic from the race so far. So we have now 33 cars running on the circuit.
Indeed, Holmes comes past. Is that Lucas Wilson? Yes, it is. Wilson thought about having a move there on Joe. That wouldn't have been the most sensible thing in the world to do. Thankfully, he did back out of it in the end. Now he is clear air, but he has a fat load of fuel, so I don't expect to be matching Lynn's times at the moment. Lynn's still absolutely charging out front. His gap is now 9.9 seconds over Yoni Katia. This is certainly an interesting pace that Dennis Lind has at this moment in time. Chased by Katia, who's chased by Nico Pantola in third position, having had a disappointing qualifying session. He's done a very Nico Pantola thing and just kept his nose clean, and has risen up to third position, not for the first time this season, JP. So we're on to... Oh! Fedorviarts gets very, very squarely out the final corner, chasing one of the Aston Martin cars. And he hits both walls there. Don't think there's been too much damage. That's unfortunate for him. He had a good run there. That would have been interesting to see if he could have made the pass into the chicane section.
Oh, we got a flip! We got a flip! Multigitis is upside down coming out of the chicane. We're going to have another safety car here.
Yep, safety car number 3. That car is turtled. That's very useful for Joe Holmes. There he goes through on the sand. So
Dennis coming through the cut and hill section. We'll see if he tries to pit this time. His tire's starting to look a little scriffy now.
44 laps on a set of R2s. We've got 44 laps, 43 at the end of this race. Dennis is pitting, so Lind is coming into the pits from the race lead. It's good.
He got a drive-through penalty for speeding in the lane.
He sped in the pits. Oh, that's unfortunate for Dennis. So that'll be a drive-through for a race leader. That'll promote Yanni Katia also pits. So this could be favouring Joe Holmes again.
Nico Pantola staying out.
So Nico Pantola leads, and I don't think he's planning to pit. He tries not to pit most of the time, and in this race where oh, they're coming a bit quick up to the back of Pantola. In this race where it's going to be very much a war of attrition, oh, what on earth's happened there? There's a car crashed into our. He's crashed into the rescue car. Who on earth was that?
That's Joao Paulo.
Joao Paulo has crashed into the rescue car. Well, that's not very... Right, okay, we'll maybe not show him for just now. We will move back to our rolled car. Anyway, so Nico Pantola now leads from David Gorge and Daniel Bala in third position. One of our sim broadcasts, well, I think pretty much all of the advertising you see before the stream is done by Daniel. Very, very good filmmaker there in third position. He's had a good run again today, Jonathan. He certainly keeps his nose clean, or has kept his nose clean.
Yeah, and quite a lot of names we haven't seen at the top of the list. The drive-through penalty is being investigated by the stewards. That was issued by LFS itself and not the race control app. Our race control app is now also handling speeding penalties, and when one or the other does not issue it, the stewards will look at that to see if there was an actual speeding there. So what Dennis has done is he's tripped the LFS default pit lane sensor, but it did not trip the control app sensor.
Yeah, that's interesting because, yeah, of course you can see, well, within the game we can see when somebody actually gets drive-through from the race control app, and he did not get that. At the time I was thinking I was on board with Dennis. At the time I didn't notice him going over the speed limit, so that'll be interesting to see what happens to that penalty. So maybe a slight reprieve for Dennis, who did come out in fourth position. Joe Holmes, after everybody so far has pitted, he is in 14th position, so it hasn't worked out for Holmes. That pit stop that was trying to, we think, it could be something else, because there was a bit of an incident that we didn't quite catch. So that early pit stop hasn't worked out so far for Joe Holmes, who remains in 14th position. As we see the cars warming up their tyres, I think we will be going green in one more lap. Pantola leading the field around in that CSF Esports car with the questionable livery. All behind our favourite safety car driver, Stu Baker, in the FZ5. He absolutely adores that car.
And he doesn't, it's like, he's one of the best safety car drivers you could ask for. Yeah, he listens to the instruction. He's great at helping us with anything else in race control, and he doesn't make a fuss about it. He takes a full load of fuel at the start, and he'll just, if he just has to sit at the end of pit lane the entire race and enjoy a race, he's happy. He prefers not doing many laps, but Chris at Fern Bay, whoever's in the safety car, they don't get much of a break here.
No, poor old Stu, he's going to have to put his beer down tonight and get in the car. Let's put it, normally Stu, I think, quite enjoys just sitting back with his feet up and relaxing when he's doing the safety car stuff here with a nice brown ale, but not tonight, Stuart, unfortunately.
It's usually Foster's.
Foster's. Is it Foster's these days? I always thought it was brown ale. Oh, now that's not very positive. Foster's, come on, Stu.
Well, he's still got to drive, so...
Yeah, well, there's not exactly much alcohol content in Foster's. But anyway, next we move on.
So we've had almost everybody on the track now make a pit stop. I've not had stops yet for Nico Patola, David Gauge, Daniel Bala, Top Kavicius. Jurgen Weber is up in P6, so Jurgen Weber and his FXR up ahead now. So he's always kind of one of those that you'll see do lots of laps in the server, but not always up at the sharp end of the field. So good to see Weber up at the top. Jared Mead also not having made a stop yet. Lemarie in 8th with no stop yet. And then a few other drivers throughout the field. Klimchik, Soini, and Feine. So far, the only cars left on circuit that have not made a pit stop yet.
Here's Pete Butcher would like us to look at this again, which discussing earlier on we were just discussing Stu Baker's enjoyment of Foster's, but he's not sponsored by them. But here's a racing R sponsored by Erdinger, a beautiful wheat beer that you can get at my local pub down by the harbour. Lovely wheat beer from Germany. Jonathan, have you ever had an Erdinger before?
No, I have not.
You should try it. It's delicious.
I'm more of a bourbon fellow myself. Okay, so safety car will be in at the end of this lap. Nico Patola getting to control the field on this start.
Yep, on board now with Nico Pantola down into this final section. Now, when will Nico Pantola go? We have no real form guide on when he will put his safety car, or when he will go under safety car. The only thing we do know is there's a famous clip on this channel where you can watch Nico Pantola after celebrating a victory by driving into a bin. And I did tell him I would get that in the broadcast at some point. So this, while you're leading the race, Nico is the best of times. Twitch.tv /Sim broadcast for that clip. Anyway, Patola goes. No bins in this instance. Patola leads them, and he's got a really good run here, Nico Pantola, from the back of his car. Dennis Lynn is going for the back of Daniel Bala, and Dennis Lynn looks pretty unhappy at the moment, but I wonder if he will get that penalty rescinded. Blind takes third position for Ashwell Rail Jr. through the chicane. Was that Yannick Katia, or was it Weber? It was Godge who went through the chicane there. So, Dennis Lynn up into third position, or in second position already. That did not work that one out. That was Godge going through the chicane. Here goes Lind up the inside, and well, it's back to normal again. Well, that was fun for a minute. Dennis Lind has ruined our fun of having different people leading the race, and he's decided that losing the lead for one lap was one lap too many. Lind from 4th to 1st in the first sector of this race, JP. And at the back, it seems that we've had a relatively clean restart again.
Yeah, Rachel Blanc had some contact with Sergei Markin, I think it was.
Bala passes
top of the Omega, and we had Michael Malik off at turn 5, and Topolniak also off, but both of them getting out.
Yes, Daniel Ball has gone around the outside of Nico Patola into the fast right-hander, so he is up into second place chasing down Dennis Lind, but Lind has a second advantage already. Dennis has just gone. He's also had his penalty removed, so as we kind of suspected, there was an issue there with the race director app, and that has removed his penalty now. So Lind leads, he's made his pit stop, he's just got to try and get these tyres to go 40 laps, Jonathan. That'll be the interesting thing. Joe Holmes is up into 13th, by the way, the other person who was in contention earlier on. Yori Katia's 10th. And also, by the way, that means I was wrong. Katia was not going to pit. And we look down into turn number 1. We're looking at the battle here. Here is Katia. He's trying to take Lamarie. Was that a car off? It is a car off. It's a car off at the chicane. Big car off at the chicane. Who was that? It's Godge. Godge, who was second at the restart, spun at the chicane, and he's now right down the field. He's had a really difficult restart. I thought I saw a car off in the sand pit, and that's exactly what happened there. So David Godge has slipped all the way down from 4th position, second at the restart, down to 4th after that first lap, and he's now down with Stephen Martin in... Oh, what position is that, JP? It's quite far down. It's 17th position.
Yeah, everyone scrambled up from where they usually might expect to find themselves in a race like this, varying from misfortune to pit stops have fallen.
Tell you who's made earlier on we were discussing that Sean Lee must have pitted early. He's up into 5th position at the moment. As here comes Leibniz and Benoit side by side, a little bit of contact. Benoit up on 2 wheels in the same place in FXR 5th
And Joe behind.
And here comes Joe Holmes on the back of this crew, but he hasn't really made up positions at the. Well, he has. He's up to 11th, so he has made up more than I thought he had. Holmes at the back of these. Lapinica's making a slight error. He was in 3rd position before the safety car came. As the gum garage car goes, well, I don't think he's going to make it around the outside.
Well, Joe's got to be really careful here, though. These two guys are going to go side by side into here.
Oh, Lapinikas is surely going to go wide. Holmes is going to overtake them both.
The chicane, and Joe will get both.
Here comes Adam Brown. Adam Brown also overtakes Benoit. Capal up the inside of Benoit as well. Samar Lamari. And side by side, Joe Holmes is going to go down the inside of Lapinikas. That's going to be contact. That's going to spin out Lapinikas. That was a bit ambitious from Joe, but I think they both got away with it. Adam comes around the outside. Adam Brown comes around the outside.
Joe yielding to Lapinikas to not let him, or to let him recover.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to make the contact. Lapinikas was kind of defending quite hard, to be honest, down to the inside. The contact was quite inevitable in the way that corner is. And right behind them, who's that jumping the curb? It's Capal. And side by side, Holmes and Brown into this right-hander. No, as I said earlier, you have to get around the inside somebody who's willing to be passed there. And I'm surprised Adam let that go so quite clearly. And Capal now thinks he's going to come around the outside of Adam Brown as well, down into the technical centre. Brown manages to hold down the inside there. So Holmes is now up into 10th position. Adam Brown back into 11th, having had that drive-through penalty early. He's come fairly back up the field. I was going to say that Sean Lee has had a recovery. He was up into 5th position, but he's behind Jared Mead, who's up into 5th position. As I said earlier, Mead having a very good run today here at Fern Bay. In fact, he's 4th. He's showing 4th. Somebody's in the pits. Tajkovicius is in the pits. He's obviously had a contact somewhere. I wonder if that was with Sean Lee, because they were battling. So Sean Lee was certainly in 5th position before, so something happened there between those two potentially, but I'm sure we'll send Elmo to find out if he can. So the order is Lind, Bala, Pantola after on lap 29 to 66 here at Fern Bay.
Jared Mead, of course, on a recovery drive after having that lap 1 spin, so good on him. We'll have to see how his strategy is going to play out. Knowing the Angus Racing boys, they try to take some risks when they can, because they know they don't always have anything to lose, but they also don't try and push it too terrible much. So I wasn't sure if Jared or Reg, either of them, were trying a no-stopper or a one-stop.
So yes, Sean Lee definitely has damaged his left-hand side of his car, so I wonder if something happened there. I didn't notice that damage last time I was looking at him, so that potentially is what happened between those two that were 4th and 5th position. His car going very squarely out that corner, and right behind him is Johnny Katia, who has already pitted, and we're quite like that 5th position from Sean Lee, down into the first corner chicane. Looking back from the XR of Sean Lee. Bounce, bounce. Nicely done by those two. Weber in the Heroes of Racing car is holding on very nicely as well to 7th position, just behind them in the Erdinger car. Joe Holmes is not really making up much ground at the moment. He's still behind Lapinikas in 9th.
The FXR, Chris, I think you'll agree with this, with it being all-wheel drive, especially through the Omega section and the technical section towards the end of the lap, will get a great run through those corners with being able to carry a little more speed.
Yes, it's a very difficult car to pass here, I would imagine, because it doesn't really matter what you do, just as long as you just power out of it, you're not likely to spin if you get onto the sand, unlike the rear-wheel drive cars as well. So, difficult car to pass, and that appears to be what's happening to our championship leader just now, and also to Lapinikas, who has also pitted. So this is actually a straight fight between these two, because both of these have pitted. Weber has not, but he might not pit in this race. We're on lap 31. Holmes hitting both inside and outside barriers there. It's a scrappy run so far for Joe. Oh. Car 22 has massive damage to his car. He's in the final sectors now. Something's quite clearly happened to him. He's basically caved the front end in of that car.
Oh, Joe side by side with Leibniz going into the Omega section. but couldn't make it stick through the exit of the corner. I had a bit of contact with him now as they climbed the hill into Piff Paff, turn 7. And now the run down to turn 8 fast right-hander. Chris, I think this is one of my favorite corners in the whole game.
Yes,
it rewards those that are just, it's a full send corner to get it right, and it's just one of those that when you get it right, lap in, lap out, it's really a great feeling. It makes or breaks the lap. It's the fastest part of the circuit, and there's no room for error, so it punishes you when you get it wrong, but when you get it right, it's a brilliant feeling.
Yeah, it's certainly a corner that you need to be consistent on. As you say, it makes laps. And Brown has a go at Weber for 9th position, just stealing behind. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the entry there is walled. Then you go over a big thick curb, and then if you go slightly wide, you're off into the sand. As I'm watching Johansson and João Paulo both doing so in that very corner, JP. So Dennis Lind leads on lap 32 by 5 seconds, while Daniel Balla and Nico Pontola in 3rd position. They're separated by 2 seconds. Jared Mead is in 4th position with Sean Lee around the outside of him as we speak. It's not looking like... Oh, Sean, right over the curb there, and Johnny Katia could get them both here. 3 wide through this left kink into this section. Do they know they're 3 wide? Does Jared know that there's 2 cars on the outside of him? Well, Jared just outbrakes them. That's lovely driving from Jared Mead. And you are not coming through here, Mr. Lee, he says, and neither are you, Mr. Katia. You could just stay behind me in the same position we came into that corner. Mead, Lee and Katia battling over 4th position at the moment. Both Lee and Katia have made pit stops. Mead has not, despite the incident in the first lap where he dropped back, but he's had a good comeback drive at the moment, and he is... got his mirrors full of Sean Lee's yellow XRR. Down this front straight they go, the widest part they both sweep into. Lee thinks about a move down the inside, but that's not going to come off. He knows it. He's just trying to force Jared into a mistake. They bounce along that first corner chicane, and they're still in the same order. So I wonder if maybe a slight error out of Omega 3 to give Lee the opportunity. Lee, as I say that, runs wide and gives Katia a little bit of a look, but Katia cannot make the job done into 2. Mead runs slightly wide now. Lee will think about it around the outside Omega 3, but no. Mead says, no, you're not coming through there, Sean. You're going to have to wait. I wouldn't like to see what's... And Balla has dropped behind Pontola, so something happened to Daniel Balla in turn number 1, we're hearing. So Balla has dropped back into 3rd position, unseen by us. And there goes Sean Lee. There goes Sean Lee past Jared Mead. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. And here comes Katia as well. So that's Lee up into 4th, but here comes Katia. Defending inside, locking up Yoni Katia. Aggressive defending from Sean Lee down in there. Katia almost couldn't stop the car as they came into the technical hairpin section. So Sean Lee takes back 4th position. He lost earlier on, and Yoni Katia once past those. How long will Lee be able to hold him back? Daniel Balla slips to 3rd position as we said a minute ago. So the order is now Lind, Pontola, Balla, Lee, Katia, and Jared Mead top 6. Joe Holmes, unseen by us, has taken 7th just right now for Lapinikas as well. So Holmes, who had to make that earlier, or made that earlier pit stop that hasn't worked in his favour so far today, is now up into 7th. No, he drops back to 8th on that tower board, so something's going on back there. 20 seconds between Dennis Lind and Joe Holmes already. So here is that battle now. Lapinikas, Holmes and Brown over 7th position, trying to chase down the battle that we were just looking at for 4th, 5th and 6th. This is getting a little bit frantic at the moment. It's almost like a snake coming off the Omega section. Lapinikas running slightly wide. He's just managing to hold off Joe for just now. And Adam Brown seems to, well, Adam Brown, who's had a very entertaining race so far, JP, is suddenly staring down the barrel of a good result.
Yeah, that safety car after his drive-through for Adam saved him. He had already made a pit stop during the first safety car after his drive-through, so he'd already cleared a stop if he needed it. And so he advanced over everyone else that made stops during, I think it was, what, a 3rd safety car?
Yes, that would be a 3rd safety car. Daniel Balla has quickly fallen off the back of Nico Pantola in the battle for second position, but there's no damage to his car. I think he will probably have to pit at some point, but it's not looking too bad for Balla. I think he's on for a decent result out there today.
Yeah, he can keep it where he's at.
Joe Holmes dive bombs on Lapidicus down into Omega 1, forces the car off the road there. That was a very ambitious manoeuvre. Adam Brown makes the move down the outside now, and it's contact between Lapidicus and Brown. So that was ambitious from Joe, certainly into that corner. He was a fair bit behind, but I think we'll see how that one goes. I think he'll get away with that one.
I wonder if that one's going to get sent to the stewards anyway for a review.
I would say probably not, because I think he was sufficiently up the inside, and then Lapidicus didn't really give the room he maybe should have. Oh, and Holmes sideways through the right-hander kick, but I think he should be alright with that one. But he's now up in 7th place. I think he's driving quite angry, because normally Joe isn't one to dive bomb.
So Joe will be catching now Jared Mead. And Chris, at this point, if Joe can finish in this position, really 10th or better, he is the champion of GT2 Challenge 2021.
Yep. That's not a...
Yeah,
yep.
He had a 26-point lead over... Jared Mead clouded the tires on both ends, and that just killed his momentum. So that promotes Joe to P6 now, and Joe will start chasing Yanni Katia, who is stuck behind Sean Lee at the moment. Man, Joe had a 26-point lead over Isaac Price coming to this round. Isaac is absent this round. Joe had a 158-point lead over third in the championship, Nico Pantola. So as long as Joe scored, really, I think it was 12th or better, no matter what anybody else did, Joe would be the champion now.
So that was one race early before the finale at Aston. Currently in 6th position, 20 seconds off of the leader, Dennis Lind, who leads from Nico Pantola and Daniel Balla, still top 3. And we've gone over halfway, JP. I didn't realise that we had.
Yeah, well beyond halfway now. 33 was the halfway number. So Dennis Lind working his way through lapped traffic up ahead. Oh, Sean Lee has gotten it wrong at the chicane and has clouded the tires and spins right in front of Joe. Left-hand side suspension taking some heavy damage in that. That promotes Joe, Yanni, Jared, and Adam Brown up in positions.
Indeed, so that's unfortunate for Sean, who made an early pit stop and it had worked for him to get up into the top 4. And now he's definitely going to have to pit again with that damage. Lapidicus is going to come through as well at any second now. Look at Sean struggling with that car. You would think, just let him go really, Sean. There's no point in blocking. He goes to the inside and lets Lapidicus come through. Sean, there's no real point. You've got a lot of damage. There's no real point in trying to outbrake him there, but yeah, he lets him go now. So that's Lapidicus up to 7th position. We're looking at it. No, we're now looking at Dennis Lind. Dennis Lind going through back markers as Sean Lee does have to pit after that incident. Jared Mead also comes into the pits as well, so as we predicted he would have to pit, but I still think he's looking for a decent result because I think there will be Godge as well in the pits. So there's quite a few people that will be coming in the pits, so Jared potentially still on for top 10, but we'll see how this all shakes out. Here's 2nd place man Nico Pantola. He's 9.5 seconds behind Dennis Lind. He's actually stabilising the gap at the moment. Will Pantola have to pit? That's the question. Oh, there's a car off. It's an FXR. Who's that? That's João Paulo has spun in the fast right-hander. He waits to let everybody through. He reverses through, so that's okay. And there is now Joe Holmes, our champion-elect, as it is at the moment. He's now in 5th after the incident for Sean Lee, working his way up slowly in the order. In fact, he is actually the quickest man on the track now. He's finally got some clear air. He hasn't had clear air since about lap 12 when he made that pit stop under the first... well, we think he thought there was going to be a safety car for an incident that happened early in the race, but there was no safety car because both the cars got going again. So now Joe Holmes is in 5th position, chasing down Yoni Katia's 4th. 9 seconds to get on the podium, but Bala may have to pit, as may Pantola as well. Lap order at the moment is Dennis Lind leading, as we see Weber coming in the pits for Heroes of Racing. Lind leads from Pantola. In fact, the gap has come down. Does that say? Wow, something's happened to Dennis Lind. We've missed something happening to Dennis Lind. His gap has gone from 10 seconds to 1 second. So something has happened to Dennis Lind. Nico Pantola is right behind him now. So Dennis, I think he's hit the chicane wall, and that's well. I mean, we did think that everybody today would have issues with that wall.
I wonder if he hit the tires or got hit by a tire, because it's really all round. All 4 corners have some level of damage right now to the dampers. We have an urgent set of alerts from a car 50. So we have a car upside down. That's Pawlowski is upside down coming out of the chicane. Driver's left.
Oh, there's a car off of the pit straight. Oh, Johansson, no! Oh, Johansson reversing when the leaders were coming into the middle of the track and almost hitting Dennis Lind there as he tried to get in the pits. No idea what he was thinking doing that, but Lind managed to avoid him.
Nico Pantola making a quick pit stop there. That'll let Joe Holmes and Liponex just ahead, so Nico dropping back to P6. So we've had multiple drivers. You know, just it's hard to see what's going on at the exit of that chicane unless somebody's told you. You don't necessarily know what's going on. So if you're trying to catch the safety car coming out of this chicane and you're still at full pelt, you're going to be presented with a nasty surprise coming out of turn number 2 here.
Yeah, that was a few heart-stopping moments. We were all sitting back going, ah! But yeah, so they'd have avoided the rescue car this time, and they have avoided the rolled cars. Yep. So the top 3 after that is now Lind, Katia, Holmes.
Yep. Joe had obviously filled to the end, and assuming no safety car, he is burning fuel as he proceeds under safety car P3. This is going to be quite a long safety car, Chris, because we're going to have quite a lot of cars to wave around.
Yes, so long as they actually go this one. Like the first safety car was the second where somebody decided not to go. Interesting strategy from Pantola. He just pitted for fuel. He hasn't taken on tyres. So that's interesting to see how that will play out for him. He's now back in 6th position and made that pit stop. Lind leading though.
Yep, and Lind is now coasting with the engine off, so Lind is trying to save fuel at the moment, it seems. Finally being collected by the safety car. I think the safety car call came too close for Stu to get out the first time, so Dennis had to do an extra lap as the pace car himself. So we have one lapped car between Lind and Yanni to wave through. We still have a lot of cars on the lead lap, really, Chris. We haven't lost many to Lappery yet.
I think there's just 2 or 3. I think there's just 3 of... yeah, there's just 4 cars that need to come through this time. So hopefully they'll be dispatched quite quickly.
Steve Martin, safety car Steve, is the last car on the lead lap. So we've got 6 or 7 cars that are a lap down that'll get waved through by race direction.
This is the first car that's going to wave through. It's Finney in the FXR. Here, the Gum Garage FXR. He'll get waved through pretty quickly. And Joe Paulo's another one that needs to get waved through. And Markin, I think, is the other one. I think that might just be the three.
Yeah, car 85, Magic will get waved around also. And also Topolniak and Ken Johansson. Markin, you said, Finney, and Joao Paulo is already back at the back and in the safety car. So far he's been just yielding position, so I don't know if he'll end up getting waved around.
Finney pits instead of getting his wave round. I don't think he'll get away from now either. So that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, the wave around rule is cars between the first car, or the leader, and the last car in the lead lap get waved around. We found that it's a little easier just to get the order of the cars and eliminate them and bring them around to give them a lap back instead of having them drop back. And we do have the ability in the rule, Chris, that we can not do the wave around in the interest of time. So if we have a late race safety car, for instance, we have the ability to not do the wave around and do a short safety car.
Yep, so that we should be going back green very, very shortly. Here comes the wave around now, around the outside of Stu Baker, and that's that. So let's see what happens. Here comes the other car. So those two going through quite quickly. Suddenly the back of the pack just stopped as they went up the course there, and that almost caused a bit of an incident.
So Joe Holmes working his way around. In case anyone wonders where our your voice from the first 3 rounds of the championship, Owen Harmon, how he's doing. He is just ahead of his teammate Stephen Martin in 23rd position.
He's having a far better day than he did at Blackwood, having moaned all week about how much he hates the track. So yeah. I haven't seen him crash once yet, so that's probably commentator's curse. So
Dennis still trying to save some fuel, I can tell. Keeping it in a higher gear to have some less revolutions. Joe Holmes has stopped his fuel burning. If the wave round has been complete, nope, we still have at least one more lap of safety car left. Car 82 now getting his wave round. He was not behind all lapped cars, but he looks like he's yielding to let everyone by.
He's spun off twice under safety car at the moment, so I think something was happening at the back. I wonder if he's just misunderstanding the direction he's been given. So, and again, they've stopped into the first chicane. What is going on at the back of this field today? Twice now I've seen them just come to a grinding stop, worse than at Blackwood, where that actually did cause a crash. Today we haven't had a crash so far, but I don't understand what's going on there.
I think what it is we have the safety car coming in at the end of this lap. It's just not leaving enough of a gap to react to what the cars ahead are doing. And if we have a wave around going around too, and somebody's trying to go side by side, they may go a little slower, and instead of someone having the room to just gently slow down, they end up piling in and having to slam on the binders. Typical motorway stuff.
Typical motorway down Alabama. No, I'm not going to do that accent. Right, okay, we're getting ready for the restart here. Dennis Lynn leading Yoni Katia and Joe Holmes. Will they have to pit again? That's the question. Dennis has certainly been fuel saving to his heart's content during this during the safety car window. Last time he went quite quickly once the safety car was gone. What will he do this time? As you see them weaving around, behind him is the car number 1 of Yoni Katia from World Class Lions. Behind him is Joe Holmes, and behind him is Adam Brown. Adam Brown in 4th position. Where's that come from? feels like he's spent most of this race in the wall. But anyway, he's in 4th, so that's good. Dennis Lind, we wait for Dennis Lind
He's gone.
Go, and there we go. He goes quite quickly again. He's caught Katia out. He brakes nicely for the final corner. Katia goes with him. Holmes has been caught out even more than Yanni Katia. It's quite a nice spread so far there, Jonathan.
Yeah, Joe had been hanging back a little further from Yanni throughout the safety car, so I think it might be a bit better for Joe for the restart, just for some space. So we got everyone charging through the first chicane now.
Jared Mead passes Yari Katia there for 10th position. Jared, having made his pit stop now, working his way back up, having her run as high as 4th earlier. Adam Brown under pressure from Lapinikas down through Omega, with Nico Patola right behind them. As they go up the hill now, Holmes is on the back of Katia.
Oh, we have a car stuck. We have a car that's stuck at the start of the Omega section. It's Simus Talkavicius, and he is stuck. He is slightly high-centered, so we're going to have virtual safety car coming now. We're going to send a rescue car to just tap him out. He'll need just a bit of assistance. It looks
there's a
like
car off the
grass.
pit path as well.
Yeah, where Talkavicius is, it looks like grass, but it behaves a little more like gravel, and his right rear wheel is completely off the floor, and the left front is barely on the floor, so he cannot get enough traction, so he's high-centered there.
Seemingly there was a question as to whether Joe or Yanni were ahead of each other, so we've missed that there. They must be battling quite hard. There is the car that's stuck in the curious position. There comes... Well, that's a slapstick quote if I've ever seen one. Oh, now we can't see it. Yeah, there we go. So he's now clear again of some nice RB4 action there.
I tell you what, though, Sujita Saki's doing that safety car job. If you remember the carnage we had at Turn 2 at Kyoto National at the start of the season, and he had 5 cars to get out of the gravel trap. He did it within about 40 seconds. And now we're back to racing from the virtual safety car, and Dennis Lind, Yanni Katia, Joe Holmes all close together.
Holmes thinking about making a move down the inside there, but he's a little bit too far back. Katia holding second. I think, well, he certainly made a bit of a gap up. But, oh, he's gone for it down the inside. Now that's surely been caught a little bit of contact. No, Katia just lets him through. That's a nice move there for Joe Holmes up into second position. That was a beauty of a move, to be fair. I completely caught Katia by surprise, and Holmes, you get the feeling, must fancy this victory. Vidoviart's here with Yari Katia right behind him and Elanuni right behind him. This is a big gackle, and off almost goes Elanuni as he clips the grass there. Here comes Sean Lee round the outside, so they're going to go 3 wide into this tricky left-hander. Sean sticks it down the outside, makes the move stick. No caution, no contact there. Jeffin slides back, and there's also Lucas Wilson having an issue there out with the fast right-hander. He was on a decent run with Lucas Wilson. We hear that Owen Harmon is also spun, so I did commentate and curse him. So there we see again, Lapanik is catching these front 3. It's Lind from Katia. Oh, there's a flip of the chicane.
Flip of the chicane. It is. Hanuni is upside down.
Oh, that just means that we've got the full set. We've had an XR, an FXR, and now an FZR flipping in. Oh, who on earth was that? That was Weber, I think, who took invasive action right at the end. So that's all 3 of the types of car have flipped. Safety car is deployed.
Yep, safety car now out. Provost went to issue the command, and the race control app decided it didn't want to live anymore. So that's been restarted, and Stu will be on his way momentarily. Dennis Lind and Joe Holmes, right nose to tail. Just rescue car Elmo is just ahead. Moment.
Let's not watch the rescue car. Give us a moment this time, hopefully. Okay, right, we're going to do it according to Pete Butcher, our director, who we haven't spoken to yet so far. Maybe we should speak to Pete in a minute. Pete be interested? Should we introduce Pete into this race, Deco?
If he wants to talk, I think the viewers love hearing his dulcet tones.
Okay, so hello, Peter Butcher. How are you today?
Good afternoon. Evening.
It's very much 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I've been sat here for a while watching all this go on. So
It's actually 8 o'clock.
yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
What? Nico Pantola has just gotten a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane from the control app, but he did not get it from LFS itself. So I think the stewards are going to clear that and just verify before deciding whether Nico will have to serve that. Not that he can serve it under safety car anyway, so he's got time to have it considered.
Are we going anywhere near the history books, JP, with this, in terms of the longest GT2 challenge race?
I believe it would be. I would have to quickly go back and look at all the other, but we didn't have Fern Bay last year, and I think the most chaos we had in any of the 4 rounds last year was at the West Hill round, which Provost also race directed, and so I think this would easily be the longest in time.
What you're saying is...
I've lost count of how many safety cars we've had.
Oh, we've had
5.
Pomniak spun. I'll go look in the control log.
Yeah, we've got a load
Oh,
of
they're
cars
all making
crashing into
contact.
the back. Yep.
Well, that's not going very well there. That's Weber and Wilson and Polniak, who has had an adventurous race, the man who loves Fern Bay Green. I was going to say, so what you're saying there, Jonathan, is that when Jesus Christ does the race directing and not God, it all goes to pot.
That could be.
Poor old Jonathan. He can't respond in this booth, so we can take the mick out of him. Anyway, so we have. I think this must be our fifth.
I did get a message from him in Discord earlier, saying that he needs to up his blood pressure medication for the first part of the race.
We've got a car in the pits.
Magiak in the pits. So at a guess, I don't think
this is our 5th safety car of the race, by the way, boys. 5 full safety cars and 1 virtual safety car.
So by that logic, it's possibly not even our last safety car.
You shut your mouth, Pete.
Now, boys.
Voice of pessimism in the booth.
If you're pessimistic, what am I?
It's Fern Bay. We've got to have loads and loads of safety cars. It's not Fern Bay without that.
I believe it was 2010 GTAL. We did a 6-hour race here, and we had something like 18 or 19 safety cars in the 6 hours. It was Fern Bay Black, but.
And then the next one we did Fern Bay Green, and we had none. Oh, it's not Fern Bay Green, Fern Bay Gold.
Yes.
Which is still the best Fern Bay.
Although we did have a mid-race red flag at Fern Bay Gold GTAL when Sebastian Hutchinson, your former teammate, safety car will be in at the end of this lap, by the way, but Seb, under that time, the green flag in NDR came out at the first safety car line no matter what, like F1 had done for a few years. But the leader could still choose when to go anytime up to the start line. Seb cheekily waited till the start line. There was a grand glong, let's say, and we had cars flying everywhere.
Yes, from memory, Joe Holmes decided to go, then realised Seb hadn't gone, and everybody else just piled in. Well, hopefully that won't happen. Just now to Dennis Lind. Dennis Lind, Joe Holmes, and Yerny Katia, the top 3. And again, Lind has got a good restart on Joe Holmes, who has been caught napping by Dennis.
I think Joe was
just
a little too close to Dennis coming onto the bridge straight, and when Dennis gave it the beans, Joe was still adjusting from nearly passing him.
This should be an advantage at the moment with this softer compound for Dennis. It'll be easier to heat up the tyres after a safety car period. I don't think there's too much of a chance of him pitting now for a second time. I think his tyres that we've had to do 43 laps from memory should be able to make that quite comfortably now with the amount of safety cars we've had. And they've all strung out again quite neatly at the start of this restart. Somebody going slightly wide there. Was that LeBlanc getting left sideways? Indeed it was, into Omega. That's Nico Pantola, after having pitted twice, is right back, having led this race in 19th, and he's still got his drive-through to take. It's Lind, Holmes and Katia, the top three.
Yeah, so finally this season, Dennis has seemed to, so far, have the luck he needed.
And has not sparked the ire of the stewards either.
Yeah, I mean, he was close with that almost drive-through penalty, which was cleared. But Joe looking like he wants that win.
Vicious having it all wrong at turn 9.
Lightning X is going for a move on Yoni Katilla into turn 1. He's got the move done.
Ooh, Adam Brown nearly spun coming out of the chicane. Jared Mead following him in sympathy. Jared Mead doing a full 360. And Jared Mead going backwards for Christmas.
Yeah, he's got passed by his teammate now. I mean, Jared was up in P3 before his pit stop or something, wasn't he? P4, round about there.
Yeah, he was about 4th or 5th, and now Jared is behind a gaggle of 5 or 6 cars. His teammate Reg LeBlanc alongside him. Jared getting around him, but Topolniak and Soini side by side. Soini running wide at turn 5. Jared gonna have to slice and dice his way up from P18. Yanni Katia has gotten a drive-through penalty for crossing the pit entry blend line.
Pit entry blend line violations, you don't see them very often, do you? I mean, oh, and there's contact between Adam and
Sean
Sean.
Lee and Adam Brown are both off at turn 10. And that's letting Yari Katia and Badoriar's up.
Yeah, and a gun garage car there as well. Benoit. Adam
Brown just shoving his way back up around Yari Katia. That lets Benoit from Gum Garage.
And Johnny Katia's going to get the pits at this point as well. But what happened there with Brown and Lee is they were side by side into the complicated sort of... Oh, Brown into the tyres again.
Oh, he's gone. He spun.
Oh, he's going to spin this time. There's no doubt about it. There's no saving that. And Adam Brown is backwards again, just being missed there by... Was that LeBlanc, I think, coming through? He's got to wait. He's got to wait and let the cars come. He reverses now to give himself a better angle. And that's a disaster for Adam Brown, who's been at the front, he's been at the back, and now he's right at the back again. Not a great day for Adam Brown. I was going to say that the incident with him and Lee, Sean overtook Adam.
Adam's
now
got
the gap.
Adam's got his right front damper is completely, or left front damper, excuse me, is completely gone, and he cannot make a right-hand turn to save his life for the moment.
He was running really high up, and that damage at the chicane has ruined his race. Joe, meanwhile, is looking like bringing that gap down to, well, even closer than 1 second now. I think at the line it will be under a second almost.
It was 3/4 of a second last time. Now it's staying about there, so it's still less than a second.
Oh,
he's got it wrong at the chicane.
Wow, up on 2 wheels, hits the wheel. Yeah, I mean, Joe really pushing there, but maybe he doesn't need to do that. He has the championship in the bag.
Has Martin Gopal pitted, gents?
No,
yes, he has.
Oh, he has.
He has pitted, so he's actually in P4 on merit then.
Yes, absolutely. Being chased by Daniel Balla, who was up in 3rd position and is now trying to fight his way back, having made a pit stop as well. So, fine outing for those two.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, Martin hasn't been anywhere near the podium this season, so this would be good if he could beat that place. Fine return to form for Savage Sim Sports. Definitely a race of attrition, though.
Absolutely. Adam Brown finally making it back to the pits, and his recovery after his drive-through is very much so on the ropes here late in the race. He'll need another safety car to have any shot back up.
If only we were at a
probably
track
go a
where,
lap down.
if only we were at a track where safety cars seem to occur at a regular occurrence.
Adam has decided to pull it into the garage and end his run there.
Yeah, the only problem with that logic, Chris, is that the more safety cars you have, the fewer cars you have on track to cause safety cars.
Yes, but Owen Harman hasn't caused one yet, and he's still going, so let's see if Owen will surprise us all in the final few laps. 13 to go. Lind leads Holmes by 1 second. Lapinikas is in third position, 4 seconds off the race leader. Martin Capel is in fourth, 7 seconds behind, 1.3 ahead of Daniel Bala, with Yoni Katia back up, having completed his drive through into the top 6, our champion.
Yeah, Vidoviarts has had a bit of an up and down race as well. He's been up and down like a yo-yo, but he's in P7 at the moment, just ahead of Sean Lee.
Yari Katia and Benoit side by side into Piff Paff. Topolniak is right behind Benoit.
Yeah, Benoit decided to almost go for a move in the fast right-hander and had to break out of it, and that kind of took Topolniak by surprise a little bit. Topolniak now goes through.
And Jeff and Jacob just behind this, looking to possibly capitalize. Jacob having a good run so far.
Topolniak's another one who's had an up and down race. He was 22nd last time I looked after sustaining massive damage in an accident that we didn't quite see, but now he's up at 12th, 11th actually, so that's a fairly good recovery since that last safety car.
Well, Gum Garage are currently leading the FXR battle. Topolniak, yeah, after getting through on those guys. It looks like Michael Malick's getting in amongst the action.
Yeah, he was, then he clouded the tires coming out of turn number 2. Jared Mead's going to work around Malick now, or try to.
Contact! Sorry to interrupt. Contact between Pantola and Lee in Omega uphill section as they battle away over 8th position. So a bit of contact there. Lee managing to hold on to the car. Pantola doing exactly the same as what we've seen a couple of drivers do today, sticking his nose in where it wasn't really going to work into that corner and nearly spinning out Sean Lee, but Sean manages to catch it all together and he maintains 8th position ahead of Pantola. Oh, but now he's gone wide. Lee wide on the exit of the fast left, and Pantola is side by side down into this next section. Can he outbrake him for 8th position? Yes, he can. Pantola takes the 8th position now.
Yeah, sorry, we just missed that. Yeah, great battling up and down the field. There's lots of action. That's what happens when you have safety cars. Everyone bunches up and you end up with battling everywhere. But yeah, anyway, stuff.
Topolniak getting up to P10 now, getting around Yari Katia coming through turn 11 as they come onto the pit straight once more.
Jared Mead's having to defend from David Godge as we head across start-finish. Got to sort themselves out before turn 1. Don't want to be side by side through the chicane. One of you's going off otherwise. Jared holds on to the place. Jared has lost a few places, I think, in the last few corners.
Yeah, we saw him spinning a few laps ago down in here in the first corner. With, was it Brown? I think it was Alan Brown here.
Yeah,
And he
oh, down the inside. Good, goes Gorge down into Omega 2, but no contact is made. The drivers are certainly sucked into making a move there, aren't they? But it's never quite come off for anybody. Here is Nico Pantola, who's off. Pantola is heading for the wall. No, he manages to hold it, and through goes Sean Lee. So that's exactly what Sean did the last lap, and now Nico does it.
Sympathetic flash of the hazard lights as well, I think. Yeah?
I'm not convinced Sean's ever doing a sympathetic flash whenever he does that when he'd overtake somebody.
Jared Mead and Jacob Jeffen having a scrap now through turn number 11 as they come into the final sector. Outgodge still just behind this, and Yari Katia hanging out behind also. Let's come onto the pit straight another time with 11 laps remaining in this affair.
Yeah, and Joe Holmes has got the gap down to 0.4 of a second at the front.
and it's just gone up to 7/10. But yeah, it's yo-yoing again. That FZR definitely not as quick in the first sector.
Yari Katia has spun at the chicane and has managed to keep going, so that's unfortunate for him. He was having a good run. I'm looking at a battle between, for the lower end of the top 20. There's a good battle going on there between Wilson, LeBlanc, Magiek, Martin, and somebody else at the back who can't quite put the finger on. There's Lucas Wilson in 20th position, holding on to 20th position just now.
Apparently Jeffin has rolled. Yes, he has. Just in the start of the final
turn
sector.
9.
I don't know whether is that going to be safety car material?
Yeah, safety car has been scrambled.
Okay, so 6 safety cars today. That's remarkable. That's quite a strange place to have rolled, I have to say.
It must be contact with somebody.
He's either clipped the inside at the apex right at turn 9, which is most likely what happened, and he might have been, if he was side by side with someone, it's easy to see that he could have stayed there on that side of the track. Usually you would think if you flip at the curb, it would sympathetically push you to the opposite side of said curb, but if there's another car, it's easy to be kept tight to that corner.
Well, the leaders go past the stricken car of the Indian driver, Jeff and Jacob. A few more cars deciding to take a pit stop as Steve Martin pulls
There's
ahead
one
of-
Dennis Lind. There's one Dennis Lind. Dennis Lind is in the pit.
Dennis Lind is in.
Oh, I can't believe that's wow. What's gone on there?
He's
So-
getting tyres. I think his tyres are looking pretty worn.
So that explains why he was absolutely pushing and tearing past the incident. He knew he needed to come into the pit lane. So yeah, I mean, a few minutes ago I said that things were going well for Dennis, but maybe I spoke too soon.
That's going to put him down to P6, but with fresh boots on for these last, probably going to get
What tyres did he put on?
4 or 5 laps. He has gone on to R2.
Okay,
He's been
so
in that
yeah.
the whole day. He's been in that the whole day. So he was always pitting. But I
fresh
guess
set. Yeah.
as I said earlier on, he pitted on lap 23, I think, and it felt like it was going to be a challenge to get that car to the end on that one pit stop. Also, he was also saving fuel, wasn't he? So possibly miscalculation as well there on the fuel. So I guess I might speak to him after the race and find out what happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 5 cars between him and Joe, but Joe now in the lead once again.
And Joe is going to be on very, very cold tyres at the end of this. Dennis is absolutely charging around trying to get his tyres up to temperature. And Joe's tyres look pretty dead, to be honest. So this could be a bit of a grandstand finish if Dennis Lind could get find his way through, as he did earlier on after his first pit stop, where he went from 4th to the lead within 4 corners.
Yeah. So Dennis would have to get around Yannick Attia, Daniel Bala, Martin Capel, and Liponex, and then still have to get around.
Oh, there's a crash under safety car. Sorry, Deco. There's a crash under safety car. Absolutely no idea what was going on there. It was a blue car just flew into the back of cars that were waiting behind the safety car. Who was that? I can't quite picture who it was. It was certainly Yari Katia who got spun out by the blue car, who continued. If I was Goj, it was Goj who has hit Yari Katia on the safety car, clearly not paying attention to the fact the pack was slowed in front of him, and that has caused massive damage for him. And sent Yari Katia, I think, is picked
he's
up
letting
places.
Yari through.
Yeah, he's letting Yari back through, but he clearly just wasn't quite paying attention. He tried so hard to slow it down, but he couldn't get it slowed down. He almost missed everybody, but he just clipped the back of Yari Katia, and that's an unfortunate incident for them both.
8 laps to go. We have 2 cars that would need to be waved around, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get that wave around call anytime soon. Nope. Provost has elected to abandon the wave around, and the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, so we'll have a 7-lap dash for it, boys.
Great stuff. Hopefully no more incidents before the end.
Yeah.
That's
so
a
it's
fool's errand speed.
6.5 safety cars today, boys. That's quite a challenge for everybody. So let's look at the tyres then, tyre situation. Joe Holmes has been in the pits today quite early on. His tyres are very, very old. In fact, his are older than Dennis Lynn's were. And Lynn decided that he had to come into the pits, whereas Joe is trying to get to the end. His tyres are pretty damn cold, even though he's sliding about at the moment under the safety car. And they're also quite thin. So this could be a very interesting final 8 laps.
I don't know whether Lucas Wilson's been into the pits again, but he just lost a ton of positions. Not sure what happened.
I think he did.
So, Joe Holmes takes the pack. This is the first time Joe's been the leader in the safety car. It's always been Dennis or Nico today. When will Joe decide to go? Lapidicus and Martin Capello in third position, right behind him. Let's see. Joe has lost a little bit of ground every time at the restarts today to Dennis. You can just see Dennis there in the background. He will be hoping to pick up positions very, very quickly. There he is. Joe Holmes is gone. He is clear of the pack just now, and that's what he needs to do before Lynn can get through. Lynn has made a good start. He's up behind Katia, who's also made a good start behind Bala. Bala's made a really good start behind Kupal. So this is a little bit of a train coming at the final corner. This should see some action down to the first corner. Lind is right up behind them. It's Lind who's the closest to making a move. There's a bit of a gap. Something's happened in the back there. Of the back
Lind up the inside of Yanni in turn 1 and gets it.
Yep, no contest there for Yoni Katia. And also Bala
Capel got the chicane wrong and dropped one, so that's 2 in about 500 meters for Dennis. Daniel Bala just up ahead, and Joe is not that far ahead of Dennis.
So Capel's thrown away a podium possibly there. He's all the way down to 5th place, but again on the restart, Dennis Lind showing that he's got the stuff, making up 3 places there.
Well,
and honestly, Chris and Pete, I think Dennis has to go for Brooke now, because if there's another safety car, that's it for the race. But Dennis with those fresh tires compared to Joe and Leipenex, Dennis is going to go send on the inside at turn 8, makes it stick, but runs just a little wide. Keep it straight, guy. He does. Now he's going to try be overtaken again by Bala, but is Dennis going to try and lunge up the inside? Yes, he does. Late braking for turn number 9. Dennis runs wide, but keeps it tight, clips the tires, loses 2 more positions. That didn't work, Dennis.
3. No, not quite.
Oh, Sean runs into the back of Martin, and Martin somehow manages to keep a nose ahead. He will have the... Oh no, he's let Lind go.
Tell you who's... Lapnicus is right behind Joe Holmes in the front of this race. Even if it's not Dennis Lind coming through, there's still a good chance here of a battle for the victory. He has not been able to drop him, and his tyres look in far better conditions than Joe's. Joe bouncing over the chicane again there. So this is not an easy run to the flag for the championship leader and the probable champion. Bala holds on to 3rd ahead of Katia and Lind. Down the inside goes Nico Patola there for the battle for the 8th position into Omega 1, and he makes the move stick. Patola, who's an up and down race as well today, he's making up ground now. And he really will feel as though he should have been up there challenging for the podium, and his pace at the moment looks as though it's one that could get there still. It's still quite a distance to go in this race. There's a top 2 though have gone, though. It does feel as though the top 2 have made their move.
Yeah.
Here goes Katia on Bala. But he can't quite make the move stick into that fast right-hander. Dennis has dropped off though at the moment.
Dennis has got some damper damage on the front, so I don't know if that's going to be good for his handling or not. And now, when do you think Heat Peak would come on a fresh set of tires after a safety car, Chris?
I don't think it'll be too much of an issue because the car's so light. I think it should be fine for him. He tried to bring it to Heat Peak during the safety car. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. They're so light on fuel just now that they just want to get to the finish, and it shouldn't cause too much of an issue. I think, as you say, I think the damper damage was probably caused by hitting that tyre in the hairpin when he tried to go down the inside. So I think that's what's caused that. And there's another car rolled.
That's going to be it. Topolnak has gone upside down at the chicane, and if Provost does a short safety car, we might get a 1 or 2 lap dash for it again.
I mean, what a race he's had. He was at the back, he's had a massive crash, he fell all the way back up to be in 8th position, and now he's rolled toward the end of the race. That's unfortunate for him. He's put a lot of work into his favourite track this week, and he was going to have a good run, good finish, but unfortunately it hasn't quite materialised that way.
Well, Dennis must be breathing a sigh of relief because he gets another bite of the cherry. He's going to be able to have another go at firing one on Joe Holmes at the end of this race.
Looks like Provost has elected to use the short safety car procedure, which closes pit entry for the entire duration of that safety car. So that way we don't have to worry about any of that. So I think he's going to try and get at least, I think he can probably get 2 or 3 laps in. We've got 5 to go at the moment. We're coming to 4 at the line now.
Yep, I think it'll just be to close the field up and go. That's what it looks like. Holmes has got to the line. He leads Lepinikus and Bala. That's still the top 3. Katia and Lind right there as well, trying to get that final podium away from Daniel Bala, who's driven a very consistent race, boys. It's been a very good race for him.
Been an exceptional race for Daniel Bala.
So lap 63 out of 66. This is our 7th safety car of the day. We knew there'd be a few, but this has been
what's going on with the front? What's going on with the front left of Lightning X's car? Is there anything on that dragging on the ground?
Oh, he's got a puncture. He's got
Has
a
he got
puncture.
a puncture? Yeah.
Oh, that's a disaster.
Something's gone wrong. Yeah, it is
That's
a
an
puncture.
absolute disaster. He's obviously locked up.
And the pit lane's closed.
Oh. That's a disaster. He's obviously locked up when he's rewarming his tyres, and they've popped. And he was so close to finishing on the podium. He had the pace to run with Joe in this stage of the stint, but something has happened there. Will they get the go-ahead to go green at this lap? That's going to give Joe Holmes a massive advantage, of course, as well, because the car that's right behind him can't go at full speed. They can't overtake him, so surely they'll have to... Do you think they'll have to...
But Chris, if he drops below safety car speed, he can be overtaken. So if he pulls off to the side and stops, he can. If he's too slow, he can be overtaken. It'll still go to the stewards to verify, but
Yeah, that closed pit lane decision has really cost him, and Joe's gone, and now look, he knows that the car behind's got a puncture, so what's going to happen here? Everyone else is going to have to try and scramble around him, and they're just not going to be able to. This is absolute disaster for Lightning X and the rest of the field. Everyone's in absolute confusion, Deco.
That's at that point, surely he would have known that there was a puncture, and if he knew it, he could be judged by the stewards to have not yielded and caused unsafe actions. That's essentially given Joe the win. Now we're 3 wide into the chicane. Dennis Lind is up to P2 now, slicing between Joe, and we have a big schmozzle going through the first chicane, but everyone's still pointing the right way. Oh, ever rolled. David God just rolled. Is he going to land right side up? Yes, he does. He was upside down, bounced off.
Oh, Katia spins! Yoni Katia spins and hits that meaty's hit, and he's gone the right way round again. Katia spins in Omega 1, makes contact with Purl. Was that Jared Mead or was that LeBlanc who he made contact with? That righted his car the right way. Katia gets away with it, and the other car gets spun around and is out. Unbelievable. They're 3 wide into Fifth Flaff. Patola ran the outside.
Oh my goodness,
contact! He's in Lamari!
Yeah.
Oh, carnage at the end of this race.
Absolute carnage at the end of this
Always
race.
happens with the late race restart.
Yeah, I mean, that puncture for Lightning X, it just caused so much confusion, and yeah, I question whether the green flag should have even been given at that point. I don't know, or there should have been a message for the car to pull off so that the other cars could have resumed normally. But anyway, that's for later. What I want to say is Daniel Bala right now looks set for his first podium in GT2C. And so does Dennis Lind.
And Sean Lee has, well, Sean's going to be very lucky if he gets that to the finish. But not for the first time this season. He is extremely worn tires toward the end of this race. Malek, Patola and Katia are side by side down the front straight.
Oh, Dennis is driving hot.
Patola's going.
Safety car again, that's it.
Oh, they're both down!
Patola and Malek!
Patola and Malek were side by side at the first corner. As the safety car came out, they made contact.
Owen Harmon is upside down coming out of turn 11.
Oh, I was joking earlier when I said you should cause a... Oh, dear.
Oh, Owen. Oh, Owen.
And when Joe comes across the line this time...
That's it.
That's the final lap, so this race will end behind Stu Baker's safety car.
I think that's for the best, gents. That was a crazy, crazy end.
Dennis was
yeah.
driving hot. He was hot to trot, and I was. He was closing. He had closed down about a second and a half in the one lap since the restart. But we've been robbed of with Owen upside down, driver's right, outside of turn 11.
Well, Nick
Elmo
at
in the
the
rescue
must be
car.
kicking himself. He was in such a good position, but that battle with Michael Malik into turn 1 cost him dearly, and he's pulled alongside Lucas Wilson there. That was pretty close. We are under safety car, right?
Yes, we are. Safety car has been scrambled.
So yeah,
So-
final lap.
Yeah, Joe Holmes on the final lap. It's going to be another victory and the GT2 Challenge Championship for Joe Holmes in 2021. What a strange race. Dominated again by Dennis Lind, who will finish second in this race, but a late pit stop under safety car has cost Lind this victory, it feels like, but he must have had either tyres or fuel gent that he couldn't go to the finish.
Well, there is our podium. As you mentioned, Joe Holmes winning the championship on this occasion.
Provisionally, because he still has to
Provisionally,
not.
of course.
You know, he could still lose it on a penalty if he does something
Yeah.
entirely stupid in the final round.
Yeah, that is if he decides to attend, of course. Dennis Lind picking up what will be his first podium of the season, if I'm not mistaken, after showing...
Oh, what on earth has happened in turn 1? Is it?
But honestly, what this does is, it's probably going to be. I would guess there's probably going to be maybe at least a half a dozen cars eligible for P2 in the championship. Literally, as you've seen this entire season, it's been Isaac and Joe, and then everybody else.
Yep, and as of today, it's just going to be Joe who's going to come around this final sector and claim the victory and provisionally, I'll say provisionally this time, of the GT2 Challenge crown for 2021. 5 races of, well, I mean, there's not been a dull one. Again, today, I'm not really sure there was much racing, actually, but there was plenty of action and drama. I think Joe Holmes has only led about 9 laps of this race, but he's going to come through and take the victory ahead of Dennis Lind and Daniel Bala, completing the top 3. Here we come following Stuart Baker, a safety car finish after 8 safety cars, 66 laps, a mountain of pit stops, a mountain of damage, cars going from front to the back to the front. Does that sum up this race today? Does that sum up this championship for 2021? Joe Holmes cruises down to the line behind Stuart Baker. It's victory in the race and provisionally the championship for Joe Holmes. Holmes, Lind, Bala is your top 3 in Fern Bay.
And I believe that is the first GT2 Challenge race to end under safety car in its history.
That sums up Fern Bay, I think.
Yeah, I thought for a moment our overlays had died. I think that's the quickest set of finishes we've ever had. But anyway, there we go. Joe Holmes. Congrats.
Just one episode on the top 10 at Fern Bay. I'm slightly surprised by that, but I guess Nico Pantola, well, at least he didn't drive into a bin this time.
Stu Baker is on his 17th lap, so I think we say we've had just shy of a third of the race under safety car.
That's remarkable stuff.
Amazingly, though, we didn't actually have the big one, which I think we were all expecting that there would be an incident where there were multiple cars involved. Okay, we had that one, they had 2 at the start, but that was 2 separate cars going into a crashed car from memory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It feels so long ago. It feels so long ago. And that wasn't actually 2 cars making contact and having a big incident with multiple cars. That was just 2 cars having the same incident. So it's we didn't have the big one today, but we have had multiple incidences that ended with Owen Harmon on his roof in the final sector. So that's unfortunate for him. He was having a better day. But nobody had a better day in the end than Joe Holmes. First across the finish line, victory for Holmes. Dennis then gets fastest lap, the 1 minute 20.58. So Dennis really did have the pace today. It's unfortunate. I'm sure we'll find out what happened to him, why he had to make that second pit stop later on.
I am just looking at the incident log in our stewarding system. There are 16 incidents that have been reviewed and given a decision, and at least 8 still yet to be declared.
Oh, that could be something for after this race. I think that must be that must now definitely be the longest GT2 challenge race we've ever had.
I think so, yes.
1 hour and 48 minutes. Won by Joe Holmes ahead of Dennis Lind, with Daniel Ballard getting his first podium. Very well done to him. Sean Lee, who was one of these drivers, as I said, who was at the back, the front, the back, the front, and he finishes 4th, so good job from Sean today again. He always just seems to be there at the end of these races, doesn't he?
Well, that was a wild race for sure. And after 66 laps, Joe Holmes with a victory over Dennis Lind and Daniel Bala. Sean Lee in 4th, Martin Capel provisionally 5th. Obviously, these are provisional results. The stewards will be busy the next few days. We'll be, I'm sure the protest thread will be quite active the next 24 hours. Yanni Katia finishing in P6. Pres McVidariars in 7th. 8th was Samus Tatkavicius. Timo Suini in 9th. Michael Malik rounding out the top 10. All these gaps that you see are the result under safety car. Jurgen Weber with a remarkable P11. So a good finish for him. Reg LeBlanc working his way up to P12 after having multiple incidents and spins. Magic in P13. Lynn-Marie Benoit in P14. Sergei Markin in P15. Stephen Martin in 16th. Jared Mead 17th. 18th was Ken Johansson. Yari Katia in P19. And Nico Pantola finishing in P20. Dennis Lind setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 20.58. Lucas Wilson with a 21st position, so a great finish for him. I think that's one of his best in any of the NDR events he's done. Anders Leipnex in P22. David Godge 23rd. 24th was Radek Lauski, first car a lap down. Owen Harmon P25. Faney in P26. And now we get into the retirements. Owen Harmon retiring on the last lap. Will be classified just ahead of Pierre Finney. Topolniak, Jeff and Jacob flipping out of the race. Adam Brown will be classified 29th, retiring after some heavy damage. Ayub El-Hanouni retiring after a flip. Joao Pala retiring in the pit lane. Pavlovsky, Carlos Mojitas, both having flipped out of the race. And then Lahakkinen, Pakanko, Genocidas, Brzezinskis, and Lukastic all retired earlier in the race.
Congratulations to Chris McElroy, who finished 38th, according to that, by doing more laps in the RB4, and also Stuart Baker, who finished 34th. Great results, boys! I don't think that's quite the record for safety car laps. I seem to remember an IGTC race that was worse, but yeah, that's quite the result for Stuart. It's his best sim result in quite a long time. All while drinking the Fosters. Now, I think it's time for interviews. Welcome our race winner and provisional champion for 2021, Mr. Joe Holmes. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
So, I mean, safety cars, right?
Well, I mean, I thought there'd be 5. How many were there? About 8 or something like that?
Seven and a half. It was 8.5 then, because the VSC.
8 and 1 VSC.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be like that. It's too easy to flip, and through turn 1, if you were behind somebody, you just couldn't get through. If they clipped a tyre, that were it. You were just hitting tyre, and then good chance of you flipping.
Now, you made an early pit stop, and was that because we didn't quite catch what happened in the incident that took the cars in 4th and 5th out? Can you explain that to us? Because we've been racking our brains as to what happened, and then that caused you to pit. Did you believe there was going to be a safety car?
No. What had happened was going through turn 1. I mean, I wasn't even near Dennis just because I didn't really want to get near him, and I'd hit the curb on the inside just like normal, and then my rear left toe just got maximum damage just randomly. I didn't even hit a tyre, no nothing. So I was forced to pit, really.
Okay, so we believe that an incident happened right behind you as well. That was a bit strange. Chris McElroy thinks there was a bit of lag involved in that incident, so I'm sure we'll all see it at some point in the replay. So then the battle back there looked quite difficult. I mean, this is a difficult track to overtake on at the best of times, but it seemed as though that everybody was racing you very, very hard out there today, and it took a while to get through the pack. There was a few heart-stopping moments in that as well, and well, we saw.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, there's not really many opportunities, and after all the safety cars, because I were running R3 rear tyres, there were just no temperature. I just couldn't get them over like 100 degrees. So when I were trying to come through the pack, some people made it a little bit easier, but certain people not so much. I mean, I got stuck behind car number 9 for 15 laps or so. We were 2 seconds a lap off the pace. It wasn't ideal, but it's just one of them things, and you're having to go for slightly adventurous moves. But the track's quite tight as well, so you end up like making a little bit of contact here and there, which, I mean, it's going to happen around a track like this. Like you say, overtaking's not the easiest.
Yep, so a successful weekend again of racing, and just the one championship round to go. What's your thoughts heading to the wide open, completely different Aston?
I'm hoping for no safety cars and just like a pretty straightforward race, to be honest. It'd be nice as well if we get the likes of Isaac and Excellent back as well, because I think they're us up at the front. So I think the FZR is going to be quite competitive there. The buses probably not so much. So I think there'll be a good battle. I think there's plenty of guys that are quick enough. So it's just nice to be able to go into that thinking, what do you need, a top 10 or something just to make sure of it. I mean, I know provisional championship winner already, but you never know, someone might throw a protest in. So
Joe, if you have more than 102 points to hand going into the final round, you basically are the champion. You have to commit a major crime.
Yeah,
I think, you told me before the race that this was your first race with your new rig setup. It's old
Yes.
wheel, but you've got the new Huizenfeld pedals. How did that affect your race day? Did you really feel any difference to it, or was it old hat again?
they were incredibly difficult to get used to. I mean, late on last week, I spent a bit of time just building a setup and stuff like that. And when I got these pedals, they're completely different. I had to change the whole brakes on them. I think I'm struggling. I think the pace is there with it, but the consistency's not. I'm used to a pedal where, it's a lever, like you push it and then you back off to obviously reduce the brake, whereas this is pressure related and it's really accurate. Like if you just release a tiny bit of pressure, your brake just drops like 50%. So you probably noticed a couple of times I've overshot the corner and stuff like that. But I mean, they do feel better. I think I just need to get used to them a little bit more.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Joe, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks again for Aston. So, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. See you then.
Cheers. We're now joined by Michael Malik. Michael, how was the race from your perspective? P10 finish today?
Hello, well, to be honest, I'm really excited about the result. It's really great to be part of the Rally Championship. But anyways, it was a lot of ups and downs, and I think if I know the rules well, I might still finish in P6 after all, so we will see what the stewards will say about the last two laps incidents. But otherwise, I'm really satisfied about the race because I wasn't practicing. I spent more time on the skin than on the track, so yeah, this is the best that could have been for me. Hope you enjoyed.
It's a tricky track to go in with no practice out there, but I mean, it seemed as though certainly in the midfield there was a lot of contact and incident today. Did you have any incidents where you hit the tires or anything like that?
Well, I had quite a few accidents. None of them were deadly for me, but luckily in the second half of the race, I managed to stay away from trouble, and that promoted me from I was P25 in the middle of the race to P6 with 2 laps to go. Then I had a crash with Nico, but second after, or actually before, the safety car was called out, so we don't know what the actual result of the race will be. But yeah, a lot of crashes of other competitors did promote me very high.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. And Aston, I'm sure you that's a little bit of an easier track to get to practice for, so will we be seeing you again 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, maybe with a different skin, but I think I will join.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations on P10 or wherever you finished, because that was an incident. As you say, as soon as the safety car was announced, there was contact between yourself and Nico Peltola, so we'll see what happens for that incident. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello, everyone.
And we are joined now by Martin Kapal, who finished in 5th position. Martin, a great run there for you today. A little bit of an incident at the end there in the chicane after the final safety car, but you managed to just about hold on and finish in the 5th position. Can you talk us through your race?
Oh yes, this race was all about wreck avoidance and minimizing the risk. I was really careful throughout the whole race, and it paid out in the end. So yeah, starting from like P10, I think, which was surprising by itself, and then yeah, avoiding all the major crashes. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly that's just the classic Fern Bay way, isn't it? Really, the people who managed to avoid the carnage managed to get the top results in the end. So, I mean, moving forward into Aston, how do you think that it's going to go there as opposed to Fern Bay? It's a bit more of a, it's a bit easier. It's a bit easier to race there. I think that was part of the problem today, wasn't it?
Yeah, sure. The quali was also very crowded, so in Aston we should have more breathing room there. The track is wider, so it should be more room to pass people.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that one already. Hopefully there won't be as many safety cars despite that final chicane. But let's wait and see what happens in 2 weeks' time. Martin Kapal, P5 today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're joined now by Lucas Wilson, who finished in P21. Your first race in Division 1 today.
Yeah, absolutely love that.
How did your race go? We saw you a little bit on the broadcast, but it seemed to be mainly clean.
Yeah, I was having loads of battles with some of the top drivers, so it was really entertaining on that behalf to battle some of the top drivers and, well, mainly keep them behind as well. Never thought I'd be doing that, and yeah, the many safety cars just caused chaos, but some of them helped me, some of them didn't. So kind of mixed feelings about those, but in all, quite good. And with the last safety car, as it was ending, on the second to last lap, I accidentally pressed my pit speed limiter button, and I thought I ran out of fuel. And I was going to go into the pits to refuel, and then I realised that the pit was on, and I was just like, oh no, I just lost P20 on the top 20. But yeah, in all, I thoroughly enjoyed that race.
That's great. We move to Aston next, a little bit more of a tricky track for the FXR. Are you looking forward to that one?
Well, I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can get a decent setup for that as well, and well, we'll try and see if we can get into the Grid 1, or if not, try and have a fun race in Grid 2.
That sounds like just the ticket. So thank you again, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Lucas Wilson, who finished in P21. And finally, we are joined by our dear friend Owen Harmon. Hello, Owen.
Hi, Chris.
That was a much. No, because do you know what I said? Have you heard what I said just at the last safety car, Owen? Have you heard yet?
I haven't heard a thing. I kept all of my browsers off.
You would, because you had such a much better race today, didn't you? I mean, that's the first thing I must say. You had much better race today than you did at Blackwood. You seemed less nervous.
Yeah, well, the start of the race went well for me. Like I had trouble trying to get into line at the formation lap. Just the fella beside me didn't get information. But it was all right. I was able to keep clean, and my strategy went well. I was keeping the tires in check, and my fuel was grand. So it was just that moment of madness, unfortunately.
Yeah, so on to that, you ended up having an accident with 2 laps to go. Did you clip the tyres in that final sector?
Clipped the curb. I was trying to attack Markin ahead of me, and my teammate was behind me, so I was on the full throttle. I took an overstep. That was it.
Oh, that seems like we can blame safety car Steve for that incident.
No, it's not his fault. He was keeping his distance, and I just wanted to attack the car ahead of me. I saw the Hollywood lights with my name on them. Unfortunately, bottled it.
Yeah, so we did say jokingly that we didn't hope there was another safety car, but we said that Owen hadn't rolled yet, and he hadn't come close to rolling.
You're kidding me.
So no, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the only commentator's curse. Pete had a good one as well when he first joined the broadcast. So yeah, commentator's curse, unfortunately, Owen. But
yeah, I could have been near driver of the day contender. I made absolutely no mistakes until that.
Anyway,
Genuinely
okay.
No mistakes.
Aston is next, though, and that's a little bit of a more XR track, and one I know you've driven quite a lot. So are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I've gained a bit more of my confidence back today, even with the disappointment. So still finished in the top 25, give or take. I think I'll be classified somewhere in there. So yeah, I have a bit more optimism now. Should be fun.
Yep, that's good then, and hopefully I'll give you slightly less of a dud setup, I think, in R3 as I did, unfortunately, in this race, so part of the blame does go to me, I think, but we'll let that one slide. Owen Hartman, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll either see you in the booth or on the track in 2 weeks.
Bye, guys.
Yep, so... JP and Pete. I don't know if Pete still wants to be on broadcast. I think he's now firmly in production. No, he is here. Hello. So, what do we think of that then today, boys?
I'm gonna let Pete go first.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, I wasn't here for the whole time during the race, but yeah, it was. From what I saw, it was full of trials and tribulations. Plenty of work for the stewards, but yeah, good fun to watch for sure. Congrats to Joe, obviously, on the win and the championship. Great to see Daniel Balla there on the podium, and finally, Dennis Lind gets a bit of a break. Not the win he was after, but a stunning qualifying. He got a second chance because of the aborted start, and got to start the race after fixing his wheel problems. And a great race from start to finish. Really risky strategy by Joe to pit mid race and end up in the thick of it down the order. But in the end, it paid out. Somehow it paid out, and Dennis again denied the win. But anyway, great stuff, great racing. I hope all the drivers enjoyed it, and I hope the audience enjoyed it too.
You and I have seen plenty of races before at the GTRs at Fern Bay, Chris, and we know that it can either be the best racing you've ever seen or utter chaos, and I think we got a bit of both today. We had some great close action. We had a good mix of safety cars, but we did get to see some on-track action. We didn't get to see a strategy play like we usually see in GT2 Challenge, but we still got that hammer and tongs battling on the track. So I think on the whole, we're going to have a good takeaway from this one. And I think there might be some behaviors under safety car that the stewards might take a look at. But on the whole, I think this was actually a lot better than it could have been. As you said, we didn't have the major accident taking out half the field at the first chicane like we're used to happening here. So I think on the whole, we had a pretty good run.
Indeed. So we have one more round of this GT2 Challenge series by New Dimension Racing here on twitch.tv/simbroadcasts to go this season. That will be at Aston in 2 weeks' time on the 21st of March. So I do hope you join us then for that. So the final word from me is thank you for joining us, because without you we wouldn't be able to do this, and I think that goes for all three of us. It's been great to share the box with you both again. Pete, you would like to do one final thing before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed with what we've got coming up on the channel. We have plenty of action coming up. In fact, in not this week. We have a bit of a clear week on our schedule this week actually. But Tuesday, the 16th of March, we have Roni's Tuesday Fun Race 2021, round 6, the 250th. And the reason I'm mentioning that today is because it is the 250th running of that season from West Hill North, which is a custom configuration in the FBM. You can find out more about that on the Live for Speed forum. 250th running of Roni's Tuesday Fun Race on Tuesday, the 16th of March, here at 10 to 7 on simbroadcasts.tv. Then the day after that, we take our first foray into iRacing with the SMRC Esports iRacing MX5 Cup, and that will be at Road Atlanta in the MX5, and we have a trailer for that. So we hope you can join us for the inaugural round of the Scottish Motor Racing Club Esports Racing Spring Championship on Wednesday, the 17th of March at Road Atlanta full course in the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Pete. So we have one more round of GT2 Challenge to go this season, and here we go into round 6 at Aston Grand Prix. And yeah, there we go. We've seen a lot of accidents today at Fern Bay, and well, that was expected, I think. So Aston hopefully will have slightly less safety cars and more action on the track. But from me, Chris Ford, from Pete Butcher and from Jonathan Palmer, we bid you farewell, and we will see you in 2 weeks for the season finale. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.